This is yours truly, indeed, Soham Spy here. And today I have a bit of a different content for you. So, typically at the start of every PSL season, I would go through a teams myself and give my opinions on those teams, how I think those drafts are, whether they are any good, whether they are completely crap, and suggest changes to them. However, this time I have a bit of a different idea for a bit. So instead of reacting to how the draft is in itself, I am instead going to react to the ratings that were given out by the power rankings panel to each of these drafts. So basically, I'm going to give my comments on these drafts and whether or not I agree with the opinions of the PR team, which more likely than not I would not because of the people who are in there. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. So I've actually seen these rankings before, so it's not going to be a first time reaction. However, if you look at this, there's little notes here, which basically contains the analysis of these teams by the PR team, and this is what I have not read yet. So this is what I'm going to be going through. I'm going to be commenting on these teams. I'm going to be commenting on their comments, and yeah, basically we're going to turn this channel into a reaction channel for a day. So without further ado, let's get started. So this scene of PSL, we're going to do a Galadex format only, post-home format to be honest. So there are some mons in the game which are encoded in the game but have not yet been released, and they will be released once home comes out. So it's basically the Alolan starters, the Gen 5 legendaries. I mean the Gen 5 legendary trio, quartet. Yeah, it was a quartet. The four ponies. I mean, not all of them were ponies though. Three of them were horses, and Keldeo was a pony, I guess. But yeah, never mind. Kyurem stuff. They were also there. Celebi, Necrozma, stuff like that. Yeah, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna be. So we have two divisions this time of 10 players each. The Conquest division and the Ranger division, and I am in the Ranger division myself. And the Ranger division is obviously the better division of the two because first of all, well, as I said, I am there in Ranger division, so it's automatically better than the other one. But even more importantly, we finished our draft faster, and we have finished our week one matches as well. While the other division is still slacking, they are still slacking. So I'm going to do the Ranger division first, and if I feel like talking after blabbering on about all of these comments, all of these drafts, I will probably do the Conquest division in this vid. If not, there's going to be a separate vid for that. But anyway, let's get started. I'm going to go bottom up from this for this. So I'm going to start at number 10, and then I'm going to go up to number 1. So let's get started with the number 10 team. Can you see this? Can you see this? Let me just check once. I think you should be able to read this, or should I enlarge it a bit more? Let me see. But that's probably going to fuck up with these graphics. Let me just try to enlarge it a bit more. A bit more. Can you read this now? I hope you'll be able to read these comments because these are the stuff that I'm going to be reacting to. So if I keep on blabbering about these, but then you are not able to read any of what I'm blabbering about, yeah, that's gonna be kind of unfunny. I mean, yeah, most of my content is kind of unfunny, except when I'm getting my ass whooped by other players and losing finals like it's nobody's job. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to start from the last one, the bottom ranked team in Ranger Division, which is a new guy actually, Yuk Sung Jae. Is it Sung Jae or is it Sung Jae? I hope it's Sung Jae. I am not pronouncing his name wrong. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, do leave your correct name pronunciation in the comment below. I would love to know that. So anyway, yeah, his team consists of Jirachi, Ductrio, Jelly, Rotom Heat, Quagsire, Vileplume, Sigilif, Mandibuzz, Terrakion, Quillfish, Onyx? My man, you seriously got an Onyx for yourselves. Huh. So that's why they ranked you 10th, I guess. But other than the Onyx, it's a decent draft. Jirachi, Dougie, Jelly. To be honest, it's quite obvious what he wants to do. This is basically a stall team masquerading as a balanced team. Jelly, Rotom Heat, Quag, Vileplume, even Sigilif on its day with Cosmic Power, Mandy, Quill. Yeah, these function quite well on a stall team. And to be honest, I don't see a lot that can really break through. Oh, how did I forget Jirachi? Yep. These function really well on a stall kind of a team. And on top of that, there's Dougie. Now, if anyone had played early Sun and Moon OU meta, you would remember that the reason Stall was so over the top in that format was because of Dougie trapping and removing literally the two or three stall breaking mons that were there in the tier at the time. Basically, Bandit Titar, Magma Storm Taunt, Heatran, and was there anything else that really beat Stall? I don't really remember. Hoopa, you had abysmal usage that time around. So yeah, basically those two mons. Dougie came in, Dougie removed them, and then Stall had a field day. I get a similar kind of vibe here, especially with stuff like Jelly, Quag, Vileplume, Mandy, all of them having reliable recovery. Even Sigilif, yeah, but Sigilif can be an offensive mon as well. Jirachi as well with Wish support. I do not really think this team should be bottom, although that really depends if the other nine teams are better. But anyway, yeah, let's get down to the analysis. Typings 4 or more Pokemon in the team are resistant immune to. Typings 4 or more Pokemon in the team are resistant or immune to. So it's basically, so I mean, I guess this is basically the typings against which this team has a good matchup. So let me see, I'll just find out for myself. Bug 4. So basically there should be 4 mons in this team that either resist bug type or immune to it. So let's see if my analysis is correct. Jelly is definitely resist bug, Rotom Heat resist bug, Plume does not, Sigilif does not, Mandy does not, Terrac resist bug, does it? Yeah, it does. Quillfish does. So I guess, yeah, I guess my reading of this is correct. So this is basically the typings against which he has a good matchup. Bug, Electric, Fairy, Fighting, Fire, Grass, Ice, Normal, Poison. Wow! Rock, Steel, Water. What the fuck? This team has such a good matchup against so many typings. Why is it bottom then? Okay. Typings 4 or more Pokemon in the team are weak to Electric. Wow. So Electric is on both sides. So it has 5 mons that are immune to that 3 that are immune to it, 2 that resist it, and 4 are weak to it. Okay. Grass. Yeah, I did see the Quagsire in there and Onyx. Although I don't think he's ever gonna bring Onyx. I don't know why he even picked it up. But anyway, that's there. Ground, okay, ground weakness can be a bit of an issue. It can be a bit of an issue. Ice, water, ice weakness. Who are weak to ice in this team? Dougie is weak to even neutral hits, to be honest, with the bug that it has. Uh, Quag, no. Vileplume is weak to ice. Yeah, it can be a bit of an issue because mostly you'd run Fizz Def on this. Some matchups you'll run Spidef, but it's mostly Fizz Def because of Strength Sap. Sigilif, yeah, that's weak to ice. Mandy, again, you can make it Fizdef or Spadef. Okay, so that's there. Team speed tiers. I frankly feel that speed tiers don't really matter for this team because it's gonna be playing off of a defensive playstyle as it is. And looking at his speed, he has Jirachi at base 100. Sigilif is like 93, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't remember. Let me see. Let me see. Sigilif. I guess this is Sigilif, 97. Yeah. I saw Terrakion in there, didn't I? Yeah, Terrakion is 108. So yeah, compared to some of the mons in this generation, especially with the dex cut, this is not a bad speed tier, to be honest. Hazard setters, 5 hazard setters on a stall-ish team. That's really good. There's also a T-Spiker, which has been mentioned here, and that's very important to keep note of. 3 hazard removers as well. That's really good. Momentum gainers, 2 U-turners. I guess those would be Jirachi and Mandibuzz. 1 baton passer. I guess there would be Jirachi. Does it learn baton pass? I'm not sure. 1 volt switcher. Who was the volt switcher again? Okay. Oh, Rotom Heat. Yeah. Okay, so now there's 2 clerics as well. Fantastic. So, Silver's thoughts. Okay, Silver is the one guy in this team, in this PR team, that I can actually trust on to deliver a decent analysis of teams. Okay, so what Silver says that there are 3 different water types that compose this team. Fire, water, grass core, and they work pretty well alongside Rotom Heat. Especially okay, the sentence is not complete. Okay, let me complete the sentence and then I'll put my thoughts into it. With it protecting them from ground and grass type moves while they handle any rock and water attacks thrown at it, such as Vileplume is there just. It does not offer any resist, the others don't already provide lol. Thing is, Vileplume doesn't need to provide any assist. Vileplume comes in, takes a lot of physical hits, especially the fact that it's 8, what's it called? It resists fighting. I think that's gonna be really good because if I look at his, what's it called? His fairy. Wait, where's his fairy again? My man, where is your fairy? Oh, you don't have a fairy, I guess. That's kind of sketchy. Okay. No proper, yeah. He does mention that. Okay, going back to the one that I was about to say. So Rotom Heat is fantastic this generation with boots now. Biggest issue with Rotom Heat all this time was its rocks weakness. Obviously, if you want to be a defensive pivoting Pokemon, you cannot really afford to have a rocks weakness, especially if you don't have reliable recovery to go with it. I mean, it did have pain split, but again, not exactly reliable. So that's really good. Rotom Heat, especially Rotom Heat plus Quagsire, I think that has really good potential. Rotom Heat plus Jelly is quite good as well with that. Quill, yes, I guess Quill can take what hits that's thrown at it. Not a lot. I guess the fighting type hits, but Jelly already takes them, so it is whatever. But anyway, yeah. No problem. Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I guess that is very good. Due to lacking both a fairy and dragon type means that they will that not only will this team struggle to handle certain dragon types with coverage moves, but lacking fairies means it doesn't have the best way to KO them either. Uh, I think offensively it shouldn't be that big of an issue for this team, especially since it will be playing off of a more defensive playstyle, as I said earlier. But yeah, if it's going to really concentrate on the defense, it needs a fairy. It needs a fairy straight up, because I'm looking at this team against fighting types. And did he mention fighting types here? No, it's not really weak to fighting types, but nothing really jumps out to me that has a good matchup against fighting, except for these two, Vileplume and Sigilif. These two have good matchups against fine types, but even then, most fine types do carry some sort of dark coverage. So Sigilif is not all that reliable. So yeah, Quillfish is there as well. So I guess it's somewhat good, but it's still kind of whatever. So that's that. I think he can. I think he can manage without the dragon typing, but he needs to pick up a fairy, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, let's keep going. This team has some momentum gainers that allow it to utilize Duckshow's trapping capabilities well, and can abuse the many switches they force via the many hazard setters this team have due to it having most hazard. Okay, this is a good point. This is a valid point. If you are going to be playing off of a defensive, if you are going to be playing defensively, then you would want to, oh, and the lights went out here, fantastic. So you would want to remove your opponent's wall breakers, their stall breakers, as fast as you can, and most of them typically do not have a good matchup against trapping shenanigans like Duck Trio, like Shadow Tag, and so on. So that's a good point. And was a second? There was another line here. Yeah, it can abuse the many switches it forces via the hazards that can team this setup. Yeah, that's very true as well. So he can get up his rocks quite easily. Uh, it says here that he has the most hazard setters in the league at 5, but again, I don't know how many times he would bring Onyx to a game. Although it does have sturdy, so it's a reliable rock setter and it has a decent speed at 70, I guess. So I guess that's that. Where were we? Yeah. However, although this team has the most overall shared resistances in the league at a whopping 12, that its team handles well, it also has the most shared weaknesses in the league at 5, and ground isn't very well handled by it in particular. Is it? Okay, let me just go and have a check. Jirachi, nope. Dougie, nope. Jelly depends on who's using those ground type attacks. Rotom Heat, yes, because the only Mold Breaker Earthquake users this generation that I can think of the top of my head are Drill, Haxorus, Pangoro, Thaw or Sock, whichever one of them has the Mold Breaker. But do they get Earthquake? I don't remember. There's that. Quag usually takes Earthquakes well. Vileplume typically takes them well if it's a Fizdef build. Sigilif switches in on them if it's a defensive set, because then it can take, because it is not weak to rocks, courtesy of Magic Guard, provided it is the running Magic Guard. That is, if it's running Tinted Lens, then no. Mandy takes them quite well. Terrak, hell no. Quillfish, no. Onyx, of course not. So I can see where the criticism comes from of it not being able, of it not doing well against ground types. However, I think that is kind of, what should I say? It's kind of its weakness against ground types is kind of skewed by by his lower tiers, Quillfish and Onyx, which will not necessarily come to a lot of matchups. So there's that. Oh, fuck off. Where were we? Okay, yeah. So that's that. Um, yeah, to be honest, I don't give too much of an importance to type weaknesses, especially since in this case, this team also has the most shared resistances. So while he has weaknesses to certain types, he also has the tools to deal with these weaknesses. So I guess it's just a fact that he's stating here, not necessarily a criticism. But yeah, I can see where he's coming from. The team also lacks dedicated sweepers, with most being wall breakers more than anything, or Pokemon that appreciate web support to outspeed Scarf users. Again, does he really want to play off of? Does he really want to play offensively? Why do I keep saying off every time? I don't know. Does he really want to play offensively? Is the question. Because what I think his playstyle is gonna be in most matches is just wear everything down with your bulky mons, your jellicents, your rotom heats. These two have decent firepower as well. So does Vileplume. They have like rotom heat has 106 or 101 special attack. I don't remember. Jelly has a decent special attack as well. I remember it being a choice spikes wall breaker in PU last gen. Vileplume has 95 special attack, I would like to say, or 85, I don't remember. But yeah, it's close to that. So they're not exactly weak either. So they can keep chipping down the team. And at any time, if you feel like there is an offensive mon that you'd want to take out, provided it can be taken out by Duck Trio, it probably will be taken out by Duck Trio. And then you scarf Jirachi, then you scarf Terrakions, and your Tinted Lens Sigilifs and stuff can have a field day with it. However, this line here is something that I kind of disagree with most being wall breakers more than anything. I do not agree with this. If there's one thing that this team lacks in my opinion, is wall breakers. Terak is a fantastic wall breaker, don't get me wrong. Sigilif depends way too much on matchup for wall breaking. But even then, Tinted Lens kind of makes you think though. Hmm, Tinted Lens isn't bad. Thing has like 115 special attack, I would say, so it can function as a wall breaker. But yeah, it's just two wall breakers, so I'm not really sure if I get this criticism of it having of it lacking wall breakers and of it having only wall breakers. If anything, Scarf Jirachi is as nasty a sweeper as you can get. Overall, I believe this team was headed in the right direction with his resistance, but it lacks too many key elements to be considered as good as the other teams in the league. Okay, I can speak on this point only when I see the other leagues in the team. Milli's thoughts, lacking hardcore. Where's the fairy? Dragon. Dougie isn't going to always stop you from eating shit. Slacking hardcore. Seriously, Millie? When you are the one who runs stall like 7 out of 10 times in a league season, you're gonna blame this guy for slacking because he's running a defensive team. I agree with this though, he needs a fairy. He absolutely 100% needs a fairy. Dragon, I do not think he absolutely needs. Well, it'll be nice if he can get one, but I don't think he has to go out of his way to get one. Dougie isn't always going to stop you from eating shit. I mean, yeah, it isn't, and to be honest, he probably knows that as well. I don't think he's gonna rely on Dougie that many times in a season, though. It's just gonna be there to take out one offensive modern team, and that's it. You do your job, you get out of the way, you let your offensive mons and your defensive teammates take care of it. I definitely don't agree with her analysis here. Neddy, okay, Neddy boy. Nice bulky waters, although three may be excessive. I agree with this, especially the quillfish at the end. I do not think he needs that. But anyway, yeah, let's move on. Your firewater grass core struggles a bit with strong psychic type. That's an interesting point. Is it only psychic type this does struggle with though? Because I can just go through this list. Where is it? Yeah, Jelly, Rotom Heat, Quag, Quillfish, Vileplume. Yeah, there's a bunch of typings that this combination of mons does not take particularly well. First thing that comes to mind are strong ghost types because ghost types got buffed this generation. So your Gengas, your Dragapults, your Poltegeist, although I think Poltegeist went undrafted in this division. I'll have to check that, I'm not sure. Yeah, mons like that can, especially if they have a specs on, which I reckon some of them will have at least, if not all of them, because of how defensive how bulky this team is. Yeah, not only psychics, ghost types, strong knockoff users, so if what else? What else? What else? There's one more typing that I think ground. No, not ground. Rotom is there. Rock. Yeah, when you're not running Quag, Rock can be a bit of an issue. But yeah, if anything, the more I look at his Firewater Grass score, the more I realize that Mandy is actually quite important for him. So that's something to keep an eye out for if you are preparing for this team. The lack of a dragon or fairy type me. Yeah, I'm here. The lack. Oh shit! I went too far. The lack of a dragon or fairy type means your team loses a lot of offensive potential. Again, same thing. Does he really plan to play offensively? Is the question. I said this before. I'll say it again. He does, in my opinion, he does not necessarily need a dragon, but he absolutely needs a fairy. You have some decently powerful Pokemon, but outside of Terrakion, there's no outrageous wall breaker which demands immediate attention from your opponent. Yep, this I kind of agree with. So this point is okay. There should be an apostrophe here. Yep. So this is kind of contradictory to Silver's claims. Oh no, Silver did who has Silver claim that is most of them are wall breakers or something like that. Yeah, so it's kind of contradictory, but then again, they did not collaborate when writing these analysis, so I can definitely understand. And if anything, not collaborating actually makes these analysis better because then you get to hear each analysts, I guess, each analyst thought on these drafts separately. But anyway, yeah, there's no outrageous wall breaker, which I kind of agree with. I think another wall breaker on this team would have been nice for him, especially to wear down some opposing bulky teams as well. On the flip side, this team is quite bulky and has a fair share of reliable recovery. I absolutely agree with that. No comments. You have some great stealth rock users, however, I'm not sure why you drafted Onyx as it is simply outclassed on this team. It is also okay. That's a typo. It is. It also compounds your water and grass weakness that you're already presented with. Some quality defoggers is good, and you're not very weak to rocks either. Exactly. What the fuck is the Onyx doing on this team? I agree with this point. Onyx has absolutely no role on this team. Terrakion and Dougie are quick enough to get by. Really fast mons are an issue, but you have Scarfers quick enough to deal with them. Exactly, I agree with this. Momentum is decent. Slow U-turn on Bulky Mandy is quite nice. Where did it go? Yeah, it's quite nice. The team feels a bit unbalanced. I would not necessarily say that. I'm like okay on this team. The bulk is good, but a lot of shared weaknesses hinders it. Offensively, there aren't many options, so care is needed. Wait, I didn't get that sentence. The bulk is good, but a lot of shared weakness hinders it. Again, I said that. While it has shared weaknesses, it also has a lot of shared resists. So I think he can get by on that. Offensively, there aren't many options, so care is needed. I don't really get this sentence. Like care is needed on whose behalf? On Yuke's behalf to I don't get this. But anyway, I think he's trying to say that since he has uh, since there aren't that many offensive mons, he needs to be careful with how they use them. I guess that's what he's trying to say here. So Silver gave this a 7 out of 10, which I could feel coming from his analysis. Millie gave this a 5 out of 10. Yeah, she did kind of feel like it was slacking. So I guess it's her opinion. I do not agree with this. Netty Boy gives it a 5.5 out of 10. Okay, what am I doing here? Which I'm kind of surprised given how he was how he was analyzing this team. I thought it'd be more along the lines of a 6.5, 7. It's a 5.5 though. So overall, he gives it a 6. Now, if you ask me, what I would give this team, uh, it's something that Silver stresses in his first line. No, not Silva. I guess who wrote it that again? Who wrote that again? Was it Ned? No, someone said that this was a good draft idea, but then it kind of just wavered off. Was it Silver or was it Ned who wrote that? I don't remember. Yeah, but yeah, I kind of feel like that as well. He definitely had a clear plan in mind going into this, like a stallish kind of team, but that can also deal with HO as well. I mean HO never. I mean that can deal with stall breaking teams as well. If that makes any if that makes any sense, because uh, teams aren't exactly stall breaking in nature. Although there is one team like that which we'll get to later. Uh, yeah, so the fact that he had a plan and the fact that he stuck to it and executed quite well for the most part, I would give it close to an 8 out of 10. But the fact that he's lacking a fairy and a dragon, it's nah, I can't give it that much. It's more of a 7 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I kind of agree with Silver there. Even I can look past the dragon. I can look past the dragon. I have no issue with that. I have gone entire seasons without dragon types, and as long as you have enough offense in your team, like yeah, I myself play an offensive style because I just do not have the patience to stall. So yeah, you kind of need dragons there, but even then I have gone without dragons. It's not that big of an issue. I like to think of normal types as kind of a good, like cheap substitute for dragon types, even though they usually do not have as good, what's it called, sweeping potential. They still have the same quality that a dragon type has, which is it's virtually unresisted. Two resists, one immunity, everything else takes a neutral hit to that. It's kind of the same with dragons, which have one resist in steel type, I guess. Is there anything else that just resists it? I think there's one more type that resists dragon. Why can't I remember? No, I guess it's just the steel types. Yeah. So steel types resist it, and fairies are immune to it, but that's about it. Surely there has to be some other type that resists dragon. No, there isn't. I have never really thought about this. But anyway, yeah. As to how he can improve this draft, I would say, trade out one of your waters for a fairy and just get rid of this Onyx. Bro, Onyx is not doing anything on the team. So if I had to specifically suggest him a mon that he can pick up, so in that case, I'll have to move to a tier list. I don't know how this is gonna appear. A tier list. Let me see how does this appear. Okay, I'll just move up and it's not. I hope you can see this now. Yeah, you can see the tops at least. Let me just scroll down to the bottom and see if you guys can see this. Yeah, you can definitely see this. Okay. Oh shit, what am I doing? Okay, so I think out of his what's it called, the water types, the most expendable one, I guess, is quillfish. Okay, now you can't see this. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of balancing act, I guess. Okay, now can you read what I'm reading? Yeah, you can. So, okay, so the most expendable one I feel is quillfish. But yes, it though, because water poison is good typing, I guess, and all, but other than setting spikes, I guess it sets up spikes. Quag. Uh, I guess Anavermon, so he got Quag. Onyx, okay, let's start by replacing the Onyx with a better tier 5. Then we'll move on to the next. So, going to tier 5. Okay, tier 5 this time is absolutely garbage. I don't think any of these mons do anything for his team. He needs a fairy though. Man needs a fairy. So, what are the tier 5 fairies here? Let me see. Okay, so let's start from the top. Beric Bale, these are garbage mons. I don't see a fairy here. Uh, Seriously, were there no fairies this time? In tier 5? Where's Clefairy? Clefairy is always there in tier 5. Okay, Mawile is there. Mawile is not that good. Okay, I guess we did not put Clefairy here explicitly because it's not a fully evolved mon. But is it there in tier 4? No, 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 we weren't that mad. So yeah, I think Clefairy could be a good pick for him. With an Evalite, it is surprisingly bulky, and then it also has unaware, which is worth noting. And so that would give him another unaware mon that he can play off of. And as far as I know, Clefairy has access to stealth rocks as well, so he wouldn't be missing a rocker either by dropping Onyx. So that's something that he can try, in my opinion. As far as the other water type is concerned, so yeah, the Quagsire Quillfish. I think he can change one of these. I think he can look to pick up something else here instead of one of these two water types. Let's see what mons are still not taken in this division from tier 4. So Rhyperior, Rotom Fan, Sop, Shinotic, Shuckle, Skuntang, not that good for him. Subat, Frocky, Turtonator, Zatu, okay, Musharna, Rhine, Ludicolo, Linoon, Gorgeist, Gallade, Frostlass. Okay, Frostlass seems like an interesting mod for this team, if I'm going to be honest, because with specs, it can hit hard, but even more importantly, it's another spiker on this team, so that could be worth looking at. Although he does have the jealous end now that I think about it as a ghost type. Okay, so other mons that he can look at are what's Runerigus? Yeah, Runerigus is something that he can look at because it has a good fizz dev as far as I remember, and there were people complaining about his matchup against the ground type, so it can help with that. But again, yeah, that would be another grass type weakness. What else? Claydol is taken, otherwise I'd have suggested that. Cinchino, Bolton, Gavalak. I think he can go for a fast wall breaker type, like Cinchino or something. Because yes, Cinchino with a band actually hits hard, and with its speed tier, with its 115 speed, it's actually a decent speed tier this time. So that is a mon that he can roll. Golisopod, although that's another water type again. But yeah, it's a water type that resists ground. So this is something that he can look at, especially because it hits hard as well at the same time. Okay, so most of you will not really be able to see what I was talking about. So yeah, there's the Golisopod. That is something that he can look at, in my opinion. So yeah, Golesopod is a candidate. Cinchino is a candidate. Runerigas is sort of a candidate, I guess. And what else? What else? What else? I don't see a lot else. So yeah, I'll keep it at that for the water type replacement. However, this I think he should do. Just get rid of the Onyx completely. There should not be Onyx on your team, and instead pick up Clefairy, in my opinion. So that should be a decent fix to your tier 5 problem that you have, because Onyx is not all that good. Okay, so coming back to the next team. So this is gonna be the Richmond Raikus with Chris. Okay, so let's look at this team. So it has a Dragapult, Togekiss, Rotomose, Salazzle, Steelix, Okay, Lapras should be a capital L. Okay, Lapras, Hitmontop, Corviknight, Meowstic, Morpeko, Digglesby. This is ninth? What? This team is ninth? Fucking hell. This team is fantastic. How is this ninth? How is this ninth? Typing, I'll just skip over the typing section. Average speed tiers, 142 is the highest, 30 is the lowest, and he seems to have everything in between, so I can't complain. Hazard setters, 2, 1 stealth rocker, 1 spiker. Okay, this can be a point of contention. I can definitely see this being an issue. Diggy is the spiker, and who is the rocker again on this team? Steelix. Okay, but consistent monks. Uh, Momentum gainers, 5 of them, which is very good, especially on a team that's as offensive as this. I think it's very good. Clerics, 3 heal bell users, one of the heal bell. Okay, now this is a point of contention. Is heal bell allowed in this format, in our format? Because I guess it is allowed, which is why he mentions it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have. So, Silver's thoughts. This team's far water grass core handles each other's weaknesses surprisingly well, although Salazzle isn't exactly bulky enough to take continuous hits. Wait, can you read what I'm reading? Yeah, you can. Okay, good. Other poison and fire types well, while Rotomoo can handle any incoming ground type attacks. Alright, so let's have a look at his far water grass core. Although to be honest, I am not really too fond of typing cores. I am more fond of like pairings or cores which cover each other. They do not necessarily have to be a specific typing, but anyway, yeah. Rotomo is the grass type, Salazzle is the fire type, Lapras is the water type. Okay. Uh, so my first reaction is that all three of them are okay. Yeah, I think they're covering each other decently well enough. Uh, I'm looking at Rotom and trying to think of weaknesses that Mo has, and I'm looking at the other two and see how they do against those weaknesses, and they seem to be doing quite well, to be honest. So, yeah, I would agree. Offensively as well, Rotomo, Salazzle, Lapras, yeah, they cover each other decently well enough, I should say. So that's a plus. The team's Fairy Dragon Steel typing is very threatening, with Dragapult being an immediate threat due to sheer versatility. Togekiss is, of course, Togekiss. Corviknight getting rid of any hazards that might affect his teammates. Steelix can even handle any electric types that throw in. Exactly, I agree that this is a fantastic FDS. Dragapult, Togekiss, Steelix slash Corviknight, particularly Corviknight, this is fantastic. So yeah, I'm not seeing where the problems are with this team. Why is this team ninth? Let's keep going. This team is one of the fastest in the league, and with so many momentum gainers, it can easily abuse its speed. Exactly. Why is this team so low? I would have liked to have seen a bit more hazards on this team. I agree. However, since it can easily force switches utilizing momentum, taking advantage of any hazard setup. Uh, so yeah, I can't really agree with this team. At least one more rocker would have been really nice. But yeah, we'll see what can be done about that. Still with some good predictions, utilizing its many support Pokemon and momentum gainers to position its wall breakers where they need to go. This team might surprise me in the end. Why would it be surprising? This team is fantastic. This team is fucking fantastic. I am failing to see here. What is the problem with this team? Uh, what is actually what does Dragapult not deal with offensively? Like bulky fairies, I guess, bulky dark types. Even bulky dark types. There aren't too many bulky dark types that can switch into banded dragon darts and stuff. Togekiss is Togekiss just cleans up with Scarface Slash or even the Nasty Plot set, which can be a bit hard to deal with this generation. Rotomo, good, great pivot mon. Salazzle is really good in this generation, in my opinion, even though it loses Hidden Power, which is a big hit for it. Its speed tier combined with Nasty Plot can give it a real good edge in some matchups. Steelix is just super consistent. Lap is a good low tier water type, in my opinion. It's not the best, it's okay. Hitmontop, why the Hitmontop, I guess, just there for its token rapid spinning. I would have preferred to see a more offensive fighting type here, something like a Sock would have been nice. Corviknight, fantastic mon. Miastic is a good pick, especially with its screen support and with Prankster T-Wave, it can support the likes of Togekiss, Salazzle, Rotomo, mons like this very well. Morpeko is going to be interesting to see how this mon does. I have absolutely no idea. I can never figure out how to use Morpeko myself, but I've seen people do a lot of work with this. So I'll be keeping an eye out for this. Diggersby, fantastic. Diggersby is exactly what this team needed, in my opinion. A strong wall breaker. Although, is it as strong anymore? Because return is not there in this game. Does it not get double edge? Let me just check. Does Diggy really not get double edge? Because if it gets double edge, I think I think at that point it is definitely a good wall breaker. If it does not get double edge, then it's slightly less good wall breaker. But yeah, my first criticism of this team will be the fact that, well, Silver already mentioned it, it does not have enough hazard setters. Another hazard setter would have been good for this. My god, I cannot fucking open Showdown for fuck's sake. Okay, new team, add Pokemon, Diggy Boy. Now, Diggy Boy, do you have double edge? Oh, you don't have double edge. That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. But anyway, yeah. Even without double edge, this thing still hits quite hard with its coverage moves because of huge power. But yeah, so offensively, this team looks really good to me. I'll see what the problem is. So let's go. Easy to take advantage of with a big weakness to ice, only having two predictable checks. Hmm. Ice weaknesses. Let's see. Draga, weak. Toge, weak. Rodon, weak. Salazzle, Steelix, Lapras. Okay, first real check. Hitmontop. Uh, I don't see Hitmontop surviving Galarian Damanitan. However, Ice Beam users, on the other hand, it can take decently well in my opinion. Corviknight, you kind of have to mold Corviknight's EVs to face the Ice type mon you're talking about, but it can do it. Meowstic, no, Meowstic does not, but Meowstic can help out with these mons with screens and thunder waves. So there's that. Morpeko, no, Diggersby, no. Okay, so the Ice type thing is kind of exploitable. I agree on that front, but is it really easy to take advantage of though? Because if my man here is playing offensive, if he just goes balls to the walls offensive, like dual screens and like five setup bonds on top of that, I don't think there's a lot you can do with this team against this team. I actually like this team quite a lot, especially the U-turn Corviknight. Uh, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Rotomo, yeah, Volt Switch Rotomo to bring in mons like Dragapult, Togekiss. I think offensively this team has really good synergy. So I do not really agree with the ninth position here. Neds, FDS core is terrifying. I even like the Steelix here. I agree. FWG core is interesting, but the Ice type holds Lapras back from executing as a bulky water than it that it did. What? It'll hold Lapras back from. Okay. I was reading this completely wrong. The Firewater Grass core is interesting, but the Ice typing holds Lapras back from executing as bulky water that it deserves to be. I mean, boots kind of help out in that regard, but yeah, I can see that. Speed isn't an issue, your momentum options do exist, although there is no slow user. There is no slow user. Corviknight is going to be a slow user in most matchups because it's going to be bulky. Diggy forces a lot of switches, so slow U-turn from Diggy is often going to be a slow U-turn. Um, Rotomo as well, again, depends on the matchup. So I don't completely agree with this, but all right. Power isn't something you're lacking on this team. Your bulk can synergize to an extent, but there isn't a lot of it. Okay, but that really comes down to the user. In terms of special defense, he has Togekiss. Lapras is defensive on both sides. However, I think it's a bit better on the special side because of the typings that it's weak to, or rather, typing that it resists. What does it resist? It is ice. It resists. What else do you actually resist, my dear? Not a fuck ton as far as I can think of, because you lose your steel resistance, you lose your fire resistance, you lose your okay, you're immune to water, so that's a good one. Hitmontop is bulky. If you don't think Hitmontop is bulky, you have not faced Intimidate Hitmontop. It's quite annoying. Corviknight is very bulky. Rotomo can be bulky, especially on the specialist side. I feel special side, and Steelix is there on the Fizz Depth side. So yeah, I don't think it's that bad. The bulk. Team is fairly weak to ice with only two real answers to them, which are fairly predictable and easy to take advantage of. I guess. I mean, if you're talking about Galarian Darmanitan, yeah, I can see this team having issues with G-Dam. However, G-Dam will most probably have to run Scarf against such a team, and Corby can deal with, although not really. G-Dam can just go into Zen mode, yeah, but take a sub, get a sub off, get your belly drum off, and then I don't see anything on this team that can deal with that. Except if you're able to break the sub, and then Diggersby comes in and cleans up with a quick attack. I don't see anything else here. Okay. Oh, never mind. I was reading. I was reading Silver's analysis again. Okay. Going back to this, yeah, Stealth Rocks is dependent upon Steelix, although you do have a decent spinner in compensation. Stealth Rocks, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. Again, yeah, the hazard situation on this team isn't the greatest. The fire weakness on this team hurts something fierce with your two rails being frail. Scary offensive team has a defensive core but will need to use its momentum. Okay. Let me go back to this fire point. The fire weakness on this team hurts something fierce with your uh, two rails being frail. Is that so? Fire weakness. Dragapult, okay, I can see this being frail. Rotomo is weak. Frazzle, again, not the best. Steelix, absolutely no. Lapras can take. Depends on who is using those fire type attacks. Yeah, that is true though. Neutral fire type attacks, they do give this team a bit of an issue. My thing with this team is my main criticisms of this team are the fact that it doesn't have as many hazard users as it would like to have. I think at least one more is necessary, if not two. But the big one is that I see a team like this struggling against Stall. Yeah, while this team is strong, I mean, yeah, there's Nasty Plot, Togekiss. Oh, Rotom gets Nasty Plot as well. Shit, I forgot about. I keep forgetting that the Rotoms get Nasty Plot now. Yeah. Oh, okay. If the Rotoms get Nasty Plot, then Rodham Heat is a wall breaker as well on the previous team. Okay, I just completely forgot about that. Never mind. Yeah, stall can be a bit of an issue for this team, not just stall, but bulky teams in general. They might give this team some trouble. There's that, but rocks are absolutely needed. Silver. So let's look at the rating. Silver gives 8.5 out of 10. How much would I give this? Okay, so the offensive synergy is fantastic. I'd give this close to a 9, 9.5. So let's say 9 for the time being because of the fact that it attacks rocks. Defensively, it's not the greatest. I would lean towards like, I mean, it's not bad. As I said, Corbinite, Steelix, guys like these are extremely bulky on their own. I'm leaning to 7.5, 8. So I guess in an average, 8.5 is agreeable, definitely agreeable. Millie, my dear, what are you doing? Millie, what are you doing? 5 out of 10 for this team. Are you out of your mind? Just because the lad is not running stall, you're going to underrate this team so much? Fuck you, Millie. Oh shit, what am I doing? This is definitely not a 5 out of 10 team. Millie does not know what she's talking about. She has absolutely. I'm probably being a bit harsh to Millie, but she probably does not know how offense works. I guess that's why she is rating this team as low as it is. Ned 7.75 out of 10. Very specific here. 7.75. Okay. But I can definitely understand a score like that. Millie, get your act together. 5 out of 10 for this team. No, I do not agree with this. Okay, next team is Mohan Bagan, which is my new team this season. Now, as for why I rebranded my team, I'll probably explain it later. For the time being, I will just run through their analysis of this team instead. So, I had Dracovish, Toxtricity, Bronzong, Duran, Piloswine, Rapidash, Pangoro, Gothitelle, Primarina, Virizion, and Phasant. Now, typings I'm just going to skip over once again. Team speed 70, 109 is the maximum, 33 is slow. It's kind of middling. 275 is back to back, 60. There's three mons in this range, 58 to 60. Yeah, so it's not the best. Hazard setters two. I would like to have one more. Hazard removers one. This is pathetic. I need one more hazard remover. I would have had it. Why did you have to snipe Hitmonlee from me? Momentum gainers, four of them. Okay. Silver's thoughts. Very offensive far water grass core with pretty much the scariest wall breaker in Dracovish alongside two potential SD sweepers. Okay, let me see my team. Draco, okay. Who is my grass type? Fuck off. Oh shoot, what is it? Yeah. Offensive. Okay, my grass type is Virizion. Oh, I drafted Virizion. Shit. I am not really keen to use this thing offensively too many times in the season. Primarina I absolutely love. Rapidash is offensive. So yeah, I can agree with that analysis. Okay, let's move ahead. Two potential SD sweepers. Who are they? Pangoro. Is that a? Oh, fuck off. Why do you keep turning off? Pangoro isn't a sweeper in my opinion. It's more like, okay, a wall breaker. Rapidash can with the proper support. Durant is actually a better sweeper than Rapidash with agility, rock polish. Which one does it get? Whichever it gets, the speed boosting move or Horn Claws. Um, Virizion, yeah, Virizion does get SD, so I can see that. Once again, this team's FDS is also very offensive with once again Draco, this time as potential specs abuser, a bulky steel type that can support its team, and Durant, which should not be underestimated now that it has first impression. Okay, so to be honest, I was not really looking at typing course while building this team. Which is why both my water and my fairy ended up being water types, and I realized this much later than I should have realized it. But it's okay, even though they are both water types, they do not share the same weaknesses. So Primarina is weak to grass, electric, poison. Draco is weak to fairy and dragon. So it's manageable. My steel type is Durant, but I am not going to use Durant for for defensive jobs. No one uses Durant for defensive jobs. For that, I took good old reliable Bronzong. But I made a mistake here. There was a certain tier 4 steel type that I wanted to take, and I just completely blanked out at the time of the draft, and I completely forgot that Mon existed. It was later when I was looking through the tier list and I realized that that particular steel type was still undrafted. I was like, oh my god, this is a missed opportunity. However, what Bronzong does give me is a stealth rocks user, so and plus I know how to use Bronzong, which is a big one. So I think it's not bad. It could have been better with that certain tier 4 mon that I'm talking about, but it's okay. First impression, yeah. Okay. So the funny thing about Durant is I did not plan to take Durant at all. So Durant ended. So what ended up happening was that I was the last pick. So I had the last pick in the division. I was number 10. So I had 10 of my mons done. I had one mon remaining, and that was a tier 3 mon. However, I needed that tier 4 fucking mon. I did not need a tier 3 mon. In fact, there was no mon in tier 3 at that point that I had needed. So I just let it to RNG. So I went to Google, I typed in random number generator, I counted the number of mons that were still undrafted in tier 3. I just numbered all those mons from 1 to, I think there were 30, 31. Yeah, 31 of them that were still undrafted. And this phone just has to ring in the middle of a vid. Yeah, this just shows that I'm truly back. When my phone starts to ring in the middle of me recording a vid. Anyway, yeah, so that was that. So I went to RNG. I typed in the minimum number one, maximum 31. I had numbered all these mons from 1 to 31, and RNG gave me number 12. Now I counted, and number 12 ended up being Durant. So yeah, it ended up being the fastest mon on my team, which is kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, it does have first impression, which can help me out a lot because my team is slow. This team handles its fire weakness well thanks to the Pokemon that are normally weak to it being able to run abilities that cancel out its weakness. Okay, that's so. Bronzong, yes. Heatproof Durant, hell no. Piloswine, okay, yeah, it does have thick fat. Rapidash does have the Flash Fire, which is kind of nice. Virizion is weak to it. Primarina takes it on. Okay, okay. Uh, it also has a good amount of potential momentum gainers to either trap with Gothitelle or wall break with Dracovish. Was this okay? Who are my momentum gainers again? There's Toxtricity, Duran does not get U-turn, Rapidash, Pangoro. Okay, yeah, Pangoro does have that thing. What's it called? Parting shot. And Unphasant has U-turn, but it's an Unphasant though. Yeah. So I can trap them with Gothitel, I can wall break them with Dracovish. Okay, I guess, but I wouldn't necessarily say that my team has good momentum gaining options. It does not. It just relies on getting my strong mons in, my Dracovishes, my Toxtricities, just do as much damage as I can with them, and then let my faster mons, my Durants, and my Virizions clean up late game. That's it. However, this team literally only has one hazard remover. Yeah, I agree with. Meaning it can be easily hazard stacked against. That is very true. And even if it had more hazard setters to force an opposing defog, it lacks a ghost type to prevent rapid spins as well. This is very true. This is something that I realized much later, and that said Mon in tier 4 would have helped me out with that, but I didn't. I forgot about that Mon at the time of drafting, so I kind of have to pay the price for that. Anyway, overall, this team is pretty decent, even having the potential to abuse of trick room, or to abuse trick room. I think it's abuse trick room. Abuse trick room due to some of his slow Pokemon. I'm not sure about that because even though some mons are slow like Bronzong and Pylo, they aren't exactly the strongest mons out there. So trick room on this team is kind of questionable, and especially in my hands, I'm not even that good of a trick room user. So that's that. Milli's thoughts: offensive overall, having one hazard remover is dangerous. Team can easily abuse Millie, Millie fam, what are you doing? Can easily abuse trick wall. What Millie? Did you mean trick room or did you mean defensive wall? Which one? Which one, Millie? Which one? Pick one. Pick one, Millie. Anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna go over to Ned's thoughts. Yeah, offensive overall, yeah, that was kind of my idea going into this team. I'm just gonna have some hard hitters. Having one hazard remover is very dangerous. I agree with that. This line though, this needs to be looked at. I don't know what she means here. Ned's thoughts. FDS is good, it's tanky and hits like a truck. Is it tanky? Dracovish has decent bulk, Primarina has decent bulk. Who's my fire type? Rapidash does not have bulk. Who's my grass type? Who's my. Oh, he said FDS. Fuck me. FDS is Fairy Dragon Steel. So Fairy type is Primarina. Okay, hits like a truck and has decent bulk. Draco Wish hits like a truck, has decent bulk. I agree with that. Bronzong has it is there for bulk. And Durant, I guess it hits hard. So I can understand that. Firewater Grass is kind of nice. Can hit hard. Has some hidden bulk. Yeah. Other than the Rapid Dash, I guess you can say that. This team has power to give away and a deceptive amount of natural bulk, although few proper walls. Hello, Bronzong. Yeah, I do agree with that. My only quote unquote proper walls are like Bronzong and Pylo, but yeah, that's about it. That's about it. And even then, Pylo is just way too reliant on Evilite. This team tops out just below 110 speed, so it can get by, but it's probably going to need a Scarfer. I mean, yeah, that's true. The momentum is okay too. It's nothing to write home about. I agree with this point. Nothing there. Good rock setters, but your defogger is on a good week. That's putting it kindly. That's putting it very kindly. Not too weak to rocks, can get a bit dented by flying and fire types. Ooh, is that so? Let's see. Draco, buffed. Toxicity can take flying types. Bronzong can take flying types. Durant, not really. Pylo, depends on the flying type we're talking about. Rapidash, no. Pangoro, no. Gothi, depends again on the flying type under question. Primarina, no. Virizion, hell no. That's a good point. That's a good point. I do need to look out for that, I guess. Flying types. Well, thanks, Ned. Thanks, Ned, for that. Fire types we already looked at. It's okay. Very solid team overall. Has power and bulk. Is a bit slow and lacking hazard control. Gothitelle is also nasty. I feel like I may have made a mistake taking Gothitelle over Mew because I know how to use Mew. I do not know how to use Gothitelle. So let's look at the ratings. Silver 8.25 out of 10. That's okay. So let me see how much I would have rated this. So this has a lot of hard hitters. So yeah, while it's good offensively, it does not necessarily have the fast mons to take advantage of that. So Dracovish water stab is spammable. Primarina is again Primarina. They kind of okay, so what I was about to say that Dracovish and Premier are going to step on each other's toes, but at the same time they don't because one is a physical wall breaker, the other is special wall breaker, and especially with Primarina, the amount of coverage that Primarina has, it can actually break down the opposing water resist for Dracovish to clean up. Issue is its speed. What I feel after draft and still now is that if I had been somehow able to accommodate a sticky webs user on this team, this team would have went off. With web support, this team would have went off. Stuff like Draco Vision toxicity become that much harder to handle if you have webs up on the opposing side. But unfortunately, I was not able to get that, so it is what it is. The Hazard situation isn't all that good as well, so I guess offensively it's more like a 7.5, 8 for me. If I had a webs user, it would have gone up to like an 8.5, but without that, yeah. Defensively, again, it's not the greatest, not that bad. I would give it like a 6.5. I guess 7. I guess 7 because stuff like Bronzong and Primarina, they have good what's it called, synergy between them. So I guess a 7.5. So my overall it would be like a 7.7 kind of a team. Uh, 8.25 kind of Milli. My God, Milli, can you just stop shitting on every team that's not a stall team? Was Millie on her periods when she did these? I don't think she has rated a single team nicely. Look at this, 5, then a 5.5, then another 5.5. She was definitely mad at someone or something when she was doing this. Ned, yeah, 7.7. Yeah, I guess that's closer to my grading as well, so I can see that. Okay, next one is going to be Viet, the Hanoi Shajabugs. So looking at his team, he has Holucha, Indidi, Weezing, Galarian. Oh, some nice, what's it called? Terrain action going on here. Terrain and Unburdened. Heliolisk, Appleton, Golak, Mine Galar. This is a very good mon. This is a very good mon. Blastoise, Arcanine, Crawdon, Klinklang. Tasty team. Quite tasty. However, at first sight, I feel like this team is missing something. I cannot point it out. I feel like it's missing something. What's its steel type again? Okay, steel typing's garbage. It's clink clank. So yeah, it's not the best. Uh, yeah. Other than that, I think it's a good team. I am not gonna lie. I think it's a good team. So let me see. Let me just see what the analysts have to say about this. The speed tiers are quite nice. Yep, I agree. 118 to 55 or to 30, and there's 295 mons as well. It can be 85. So yeah, it's all right. Momentum gainers 4, rapid spinners 3. Wow, hazard setters 2. Could have been better, but it's what it is. Silver's thoughts. Pretty bulky, yet potentially offensive 5 out of grass score, with 2 mons having reliable recovery and one having the potential to sweep via Shell Smash. So 5 out of grass core. Let's see. His grass type is Appleton, which is very bulky. His water is Blastoise, which is bulky. His Arcanine is also bulky, and all of these can hit hard as well. So yeah, this is a good 5 out of grass core in my opinion, no doubt. Decent FDS with two of the members being very bulky and one being another potential sweeper. This time via shift gear. I know Silver likes Kling Clang. I do not like Kling Clang this generation, especially since there is no return for it to use as a coverage move, so it kind of sucks on that front. Um, what is the FDS on this? The fairy is Wheezing Galarian, which is nice. Dragon is Appleton. Okay, to me it's more of a grass type than a dragon type, but it's okay. It's whatever. And Steel is Cling Clang, which is not okay at all by any means. So it's like a middling FDS for me. It's whatever. Let's move on. Needless to say that Holucha with terrain support means that this team will be very dangerous, and due to it having two different potential terrain setters, it can where is it going? Yeah, terrain setters. It can be quite a versatile combo, such as Indeedee letting Weezing G run another of its fantastic abilities instead. Plus, it usually runs better without its Misty Surge ability if it's used as a Toxic Spike setter. Yeah, I agree with this. I absolutely agree with this. Um, yeah, there's not really a lot for me to say in that point. Especially the reason I like Psychic Surge Indeedee more than I like Misty Surge Wheezing is because Indeedee more likely than not is going to function as an offensive mon. So it needs the extra power on its stab moves from the terrain. Then Wheezing needs power. I mean, then again, Misty Surge doesn't really give you any power on your fairy type moves, thankfully. Um, another thing is that when Holucha gets its unburden off under psychic terrain, as long as the psychic terrain is up, opposing mons cannot take it out with priority move because psychic terrain does not allow priority moves to be used. Oh wait, never mind. Holucha is a flying type, right? So it's not protected by Psychic Terrain in that case. God damn it. Otherwise, it would have been nice because Psychic Terrain gives you a boost to your special defense instead of the more common defense boost we're used to seeing on Holucha from the electric seed. So Halucha could actually take on the ice shards and the aerial quick attacks from Mega Pincel last gen after +1 defense. Not going to be the case this time, but anyway, yeah, it's still nice to have. Wheezing, it's most likely gonna run levitate, and the other one was it called neutralizing gas more often than not. So it does appreciate Indeedee being there to give it terrain support. So I agree with this point. Where is it? Yeah, though this team has a bit of a ground weakness, it can circumvent if running levitate on Wheezing G, which as mentioned shouldn't be the biggest loss due to Indeedee still supporting Lucha. Okay, looking at ground weaknesses. Lucha immune, Wheezing G can be immune, Heliolisk it doesn't even matter if it's weak to ground. That thing it's like two hit killed by every attack you can think of. Appleton is very bulky. Golurk is bulky on the physical side. Mr. Mime Galarian, even with the Violet, is not that bulky. My God. Blastoise is nice on the bulky side. Arcanine, even with the Intimidate, it would still rather not switch into Earthquakes. Crawdon can take a hit in a pinch, but that's not what you would want it to do in most games, and Klinklang no. So yeah, I think uh, I think something that could take ground, and I think one more mon that could have taken ground type hits would have been nice. Although Weezing G plus Holucha plus Appleton should have him covered more often than not. Speed is decent without being brilliant. Okay, no, I missed out a point here. Okay, I just skipped straight to Wheezing, not just a point. With his decent amount of momentum gainers alongside his many sweepers, this is a very terrifying team to be sure. All right, all right. I'm surprised Silver didn't talk about the wall breakers because Crawdont is very good this generation because you can't run one of those items that can't get knocked off like the Mega Stones, the Z Crystals. So knockoffs are practically free this time around. So Crawdont is that good. Um, that's a good wall breaker. Blaster is a good sweeper. Golurk can be a wall breaker, I guess, but that's not how you would see it used. Appleton can be a very annoying sort of a wall breaker in the sense that even though it does not have a huge initial special attack to start off with, Apple Acid makes it so that your SPDF gets dropped every turn. So at that point, you are not really taking hits from it anymore. So it's very annoying on that front. Overall, I think this team is designed around breaking mid game, early to mid game, to allow something like a not SD, Shell Smash, Blastoise, a Nasty Plot, Galarian Mime, Shift Gear Kling Clang, or Unburden Holucha to sweep. At least that is going to be his plan in most games. I'm not saying that is what he will always do, but it can be his plan in most games. At least, yeah, this team is built with a plan. This is something that I said with what's it called Yuke's team as well, that even though it was rated solo, it was built with a plan. I like that. And yeah, the same thing here as well. It's been built with a plan. I like that. There are some elements I may or may not suggest to it later on, but yeah, we'll get to that later. uh, okay, so Millie, nice bulky offense. Terrain is going to be tricky but scary team overall. I mean, terrain is going to be tricky but scary team overall. I mean, tricky for Viet to use or tricky for your opponents. I guess it's for the opponents, but scary team overall. Okay, she did not share on this team, so I cannot make fun of Millie here. I mean, but yeah, but this is like very generic. This statement is like very generic. I'll have to cut Millie some slack because she's not as experienced in Mons as Silver, Ned, or even I am. So she's learning. She'll definitely learn. She'll definitely get better with time. Ned's thoughts. Your FDS is so-so. It's not frail, but a big weak in terms of power output. Klinklang is very. I agree with this. Klinklang is very one-dimensional. If you're going to actively rely on Klinklang for being your only steel type, you are probably not making the right choices. FWG is very bulky and has a fair bit of versatility. I agree with that. There's some power. Crown and Golurk are nice, but special attackers are only all right. Bulk is good on some mons, but others are frailer than they look at first glance. Mm, I think Indeedee can be a scary wall breaker as well with Psychic Surge. Appleton again, it's very annoying. You are probably not going to make note of this at first, but then when it gets going, you'll be like, oh my god, just stop with your Apple acids already. What else? Bulky Mons. Now, one issue that I do see with bulky Mons here is that. Uh, what was I about to say again? Okay, yeah, only one of them has level recovery in the Arcanine. Golok does, okay, no, Appleton does have synthesis now, doesn't it? Does Appleton have synthesis? Let me see. Let me see. So, okay, D boy, you can now get out. Appleton, come in. Apple synthesis. Okay, you don't have synthesis. That's a shame. That's a shame that it doesn't have synthesis. Okay, it does have recover though. So that's basically the same thing. If anything, recover is just better. So yeah, it does have recovery. Weezing G would have loved to have recovery, but it does not. What can you do about that? So yeah, this steel type mon is bothering me. Other than that, everything is fine. Um, Speed is decent without being brilliant. A fair amount of mons hovering hovering near base 100. Indeed is 95, and who else? Heliolisk is like 109. Mind Guardian is 100 if I remember correctly, and Arcanine is 95. So yeah, I agree with that. Golurk, okay. Momentum is actually a bit weak. I agree with that, but will he be playing off of momentum though? As far as I see this team being used, he is going to be switching in a lot into his bulky mons, dishing out attacks, and then when he sees a safe switch in, he goes out into something like a Crawdon or a Mind Galarian, sets up, weakens, gets terrain off, or for Holucha to set up under, or just goes on to Kling Klang for a shift gear sweep. This team is hurt by fighting in ground types quite badly. Okay, Golurk is an A rocker to your only rocker. The spin on Blastoise is nice, but not enough. Comp? Comp? What does comp mean? I am not sure, so I'm going to leave that one. However, yeah, Golurk is an A rocker. I'll actually disagree with that. I've used Golurk before, and if there's one thing that Golurk is consistent at, it's getting those rocks off. After getting the rocks off, it feels miserably at getting off damage. You'll be like, okay, this thing is close to 120 attack or 124 if I remember correctly. I may be wrong. So this thing should hit hard. You will be surprised by how rarely you actually get off good damage with this. But the one thing it does do well is get the rocks off. This team is hurt by fighting and ground types quite badly. Yeah, we did note the ground weakness earlier as well, but it can be played around. This team has some speed and good physical power, but lack of hazards, shared weaknesses, and no terrifying special mode is telling. No terrifying special mon. I would like to disagree because when you are staring down a Blastoise that can get Shell Smash up, when you're staring down a Mr. Mime Galarian with decent bulk, good speed tier in this format, and nasty plot up, or you're even staring down just a Calm Mind or what's it called? Specs Indeedee, you will often be pressed to disagree with that. So there's that. Okay, now let's look at the fighting type situation on this. Halucha resist, Indeedee does not, Weezing Galarian does not, Heliolisk does not, Appleton does not, Golurk, okay, Golurk is a switch in, Galarian, Mime does not want to switch in, Blastoise, no, Arcanine, okay, yeah, I can definitely see the issue with the, what's it called the fighting times. My god, I can't speak. Okay, so for most of this draft, if you ask me, I agree with the draft except for the two lower tier picks. um, yeah, that's pretty much that, to be honest. uh, if you ask me, Kling Klang, while it does have sweeping potential, I don't think it's the best. Same thing with Golurk. Does he have points left? 120, 120, 120, 40. So, okay, so it has to be a lower tier steel, right? What are the steel types in the lower tier? Let me just have a look. Torracat, Togetic. Okay, I'll open this in another page because you guys can't read anything that I'm saying as it is. So there's no point in me just opening this here. Okay. Hmm. I think mobile could be like a fix here because mobile does have rock. Okay, not here. Okay, mobile does have rocks, and mobile also has intimidate, and mobile also is absolutely garbage. So maybe not. Okay, Galarian Stunfisk, does that thing not get rocks? I think it does. I think it could be used as decent bulky ground as well, which can also cover for the Golurk. Was Golurk his tier 4 or his tier 5? His okay, so Golurk was his tier 5. Okay, so it was strictly tier 5. Uh, In that case, so another mon, if I'm looking at tier 5, I would probably suggest something like, actually, there's not a lot here, to be honest. There is not a lot here. Yeah, this is kind of sad. He could try Lampent in my opinion, but yeah, Lampent isn't all that good. Haunter could be nice as a special attacker, ghost type special attacker. Other than that, yeah, there isn't a lot here to work with. So, Galarian Stunfisk, Mawile, Hauntar, these are mons that he can look at, in my opinion. So let's look at the grades that they gave out. 9 out of 10. Oh, Silver really liked this team. Okay, but yeah, let me just give my thought on this. So this definitely had a plan, and this has some standalone sweepers as well, like Blastoise, like the Kling Clang. So they don't really rely on walls or webs or anything like on terrains, not walls, terrains or webs or screens or something like that. So that's appreciable. If I had to give my rating on this, I will probably give this like a 8, 8.5 on the offensive side. Defensively, it's like a 7, 7.5 in my opinion. So that would be close to her 8. I can see why Silver liked this. Millie was finally out of her periods when she rated this team, so she gave it 7. Ned gave it a 6. I'm not sure why Ned not like this. I mean, even if while I'm going through his analysis, he does mention a few fair points like the fighting weakness, the vulnerability to ground types. This is kind of the point that he makes about the what is it called, the terrifying special mon. Lack of hazards is true, but yeah, six is a bit low for this team in my opinion. I would give it like a 7.5 again. I know I'm probably giving out too many teams grades around a 7, but because yeah, nothing has really jumped out to me as being an excellent draft so far, except for this guy. I forget his name every time. CJ, Chris, yeah, Chris's draft. So that's that. Next team we're going to look at is Shibi. Shibi makes a return this season, and hopefully he will not drop out mid-season this time. So his new team, the Las Vegas Volcarona, he has a Gengar, Melmetal, Gastrodon, Umbreon, Alchemy, Manectric, Excelgor, Cinderace, Noivern, Duocean, Conkeldurr. Wow, I like this draft. At first sight, I like this draft. This has a very good defensive synergy between these three mons right here, the Gastrodon, the Umbreon, and the Alcremie. This has very good offensive synergy between the likes of the Gengar and the Conkeldurr. There's stuff like Noivern and Melmetal. Okay, Noivern, and there was one more. What was the other fast mon? Yeah, okay, Excelgor as well, which creep up the speed tier, making you run some fast mon, some Scarfers. And then there's stuff like Duocean and Melmetal, which can set up Trick Room and can take advantage of that. So I think this is a very well put together draft. So I'm just gonna skip over the drafting over the typing section again. Team speed tier is 134, so the maximum of 145, minimum of 30. Okay, so if anything, I think this team has like extremes. So on one end you have stuff like 34, 30, 45, 65, 64. On the other end you have 110, 105, 145, 119. I think something around the 100 mark speed tier would have been nice for this team. But yeah, that's like a very minor complaint. Hazard set as one spiker, there's also a T spiker. Wait, this guy does not have rocks on his team? Does Melmetal not get rocks? Huh. And yeah, he does not have a rocker. Okay, so that's something. Mm, hazard removers. Okay, code changer. So I guess that's why I did not have any rocks. So you set up your rocks on Shibi. Shibi is just gonna code change back onto your side. Okay, but if that's his main way of dealing with rocks, then he is gonna be a bit over reliant on Cinderace. Other than that, okay, so let's just move on to the analysis. This team lacks a grass type for a fire water grass core. Again, grass is not the most important typing to have, but it would have been nice. But the bulk and power Gastrodon and Cinderace provide the team is pretty good nonetheless. Alright, the FDS score has this team is pretty good with Noivern being able to provide very speedy momentum to bring the slow Alcremie and Melmetal in, especially the latter because Melmetal's special defense is not all that great. So you not necessarily want to be, especially I think this is another point. Alcremie and Melmetal actually cover each other quite well. Alcremie is not that good physically defensively. Physique on the physically defensive side, yeah, physically defensively does not sound good, but it has good SPDF. On the other hand, Melmetal has great physical defense, but not that good special defense. So they cover each other quite well on that regard. And Neuwirth, you would actually be surprised to how bulky Neuwirth can be in certain matchups, especially since there's no hidden power ice anymore. Uh, Bulky frisk sets can be quite useful. Speaking of which, this team has a pretty good amount of momentum gainers that can support the team quite well. I actually noticed this as well with the Neuwirth, the Cinderace. What else is there? Does Umbreon gets baton pass as far as I remember. Manectric has Volt Switch. Axeldor also has U-turn. So yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Um, However, with only one Pokemon to set up hazards, they might not be the easiest to keep on the field, especially with how frail Excel is. Absolutely agree with this. He does need more hazards. End of. Um, where was I? Okay. The team also doesn't handle ground types too well, with the only two Pokemon that it has resistant immune to him, both being fairly frail. Okay, I'll get to this. Okay, let's just look at it anyway. Gengar, Bucked. Melmetal, Bucked. Gastrodon, okay, can take a few of those. Umbreon can take those. Alcremie, if it's Earth Powers, yes. If it's Earthquakes, no. Manectric, Bopped. Excelgor, you are not going to use this as a pivot. Cinderace, Bopped. Noivern is like the one true pivot I can see to this right here. Duocean, it's not that bulky, even with Eviolite, so that's something. Conkeldurr, okay, Conkeldurr can switch into a few Earthquakes. Uh, Overall, though, this team has so many wall breakers that it can easily overwhelm teams that lack bulk or take too long to get going. One more thing that I think he did not point out here, or at least he did not stress enough, is the potential this team has for stall. Gastrodon, Umbreon, Alcremie. That's a fantastic combination. You have a Wishmon here. You have a bulky self-supporting Mon with Recover. You have another self-supporting bulky Mon with Recover. You have stuff like Melmetal, which is defensive on one side. You have stuff like Conkeldurr, which is naturally bulky. You have things like Neuwirth, which can scout for opposing items and give you information about the team. You have Excelgor to set up T-spikes and wear down opposing teams. This team has really good potential on even as a stall team. So that's something to point out, in my opinion. Milli's thoughts, not too bad, but not too good either. Again, Millie, being a bit more specific would be nice. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I got distracted there for a bit. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, a bit more specificity would be nice because not too bad but not too good either. It's kind of like just leaving it there. But yeah, but this is Millie's first time doing these, so hopefully she'll get better in the future. I'm not going to say much about that. Netty Boy's thoughts. Your FDS is actually quite. Oh, fuck off. Notifications. Okay, where was I? Yeah, creamy. No, it's creamy. Your FDS is actually quite nice, even if Alchemy is just a worse Florges without recovery. Lacking grass type sucks against waters, but Storm Drain or a decent Mon covers that up a bit. He doesn't have that much issue with water types though. Gastro is immune. Alchemy can take more special water hits. Melmetal can take a few of the physical hits. Neuwirth can take some of them, but yeah, it has to be careful about the ice beams. So there's that. Yeah, in general, I think this team would benefit from a grass type, pure grass type, preferably not a kind of a grass type that's weak to ground. So yeah, there's that. Your FD is quite nice. Your strength is where is it? Yeah, your strength is certainly up there. Metal is terrifying, and your natural bulk ain't nothing to scoff at either. Although not completely blast proof. I don't know what blast proof means. I guess like being immune, like being able to resist or handle wall breakers. I guess that's what that means. But anyway, your strength is definitely up there. I agree. This team has a lot of power, and this is good. This team either has all the pace or no pace. Yes, this is what I was talking about. This team has like extremes. It's like either too fast or it's too slow. There's no middle ground. Some decent U-turners too. Okay. Excelgor being your only hazard set is going to be a struggle. Code change does fix this to an extent. However, some passable defoggers, possible. Conkeldurr is quite good. Noivern can be reliable. Um, but yeah, those two are the only ones I guess. Okay, yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. I think one or the other of those two will always come to matches. So there's that. Overall, though, this team has so many wall breakers that can. Okay. What am I reading? I'm reading the wrong analysis again. And the pace is great, the power is terrifying. The only real issue is your very limited hazard setting options, which is somewhat offset by code change. Now, my biggest issue with this team is that opposing Scarfers can actually like really exploit this team. Because when you don't have what typically happens is that when you don't have mons with a middling speed tier at all, you often forget about running scarves yourself, because you're like, okay, my team is naturally faster than my opponent's team, so I am kind of just going to go with like power increasing natures, power increasing items on my mons. I'm not necessarily going to focus on the speed side. And what happens is that you end up getting bought by opponent scarfers. So as long as he bears this in mind and always has something to check the opposing scarfers other than trick room, because trick room on this team, it can be good but it can also go horribly wrong, especially if your stuff like Melmetal and Conkelder and Duocean, they fail to break down the opponent's mons with trick room up. Your guys like Gengar and their Sender Aces, they are going to suffer a lot from your own trick room. So there's that. However, offensively, I'll have to give this a very high. So this is like an 8.5, 9 team for me. This is so good. Defensively, it's 7.5, 8-ish. I would have given it close to an 8.5 if it had a bulky grass type on there. So this would have been my highest rated team so far. But overall, I guess it's like an 8 to 8.2-ish team. So let me see how much Silver gave it. Okay, Silver gave it 8.25. Milli was back on her periods while rating this one, so she gave it a 6. Net gave this an 8, overall 7.4. Yeah, I can agree with this analysis. Nothing there that offends me out of my mind. Okay, so next team number 5. Yeah, so now we're in the top half of teams. So these are the teams that are strictly the better teams, at least draft wise. So looking at his team is AE slash Gudra Vaporeon. Oh, this got me hype. This is a fantastic starting. Okay, Incineroar, nice. Claydol, nice. Garbodor can be good. Arctozolt, man, fuck this mon. This mon sucks. I mean, if you're gonna go after, I mean, if you're gonna take a electric ice in this generation, just get Rotom Frost. Just fucking get Rotom Frost. Now this thing is Nasty Plot plus Thunderbolt and Blizzard. No one wants to take that. Just pick that up. Hatterene, wow. Mamoswine, oh. Vikavolt, ooh. Shift Tree, out of its place. But other than that, yeah, I really like this draft. Just get a Rotom Frost instead of the Arctozolt. Get something else instead of the Shift Tree, maybe. Mm. Other than that, I like this. What I do not like, however, at first sight, is that there are no fighting types. And just looking at this team, Mamo and Claydol are like Mamo, Claydol, and Incineroar are the ones that can break down opposing steel types. Opposing dark types can be a bit of an issue, I see, because because his only dark resist that I see here is Incineroar and Shift Tree, but yeah, that's a fucking Shift Tree. You don't expect it to do a lot. Harrowing does not like to take knockoffs all that well, so there's that. And again, offensively as well, like bulky ground types, like this, like stuff like not bulky ground. What am I saying? Bulky dark stuff like the Mandibuzzes, and okay, he has the Incineroar, so I can't say opposing Incineroars. So yeah, they can be a bit of an issue. Although Vikavolt does make Minds meet out of that, and so does Octozolt, I guess. So there's that. I'm just gonna skip all this and go straight to the speed tiers, because this is like a clusterfuck. Nothing crosses 100, and that is an issue for me. Not having even one fast mon, you're like yeah, opponent teams don't even have to rely on too fast of a mon for this team, and this is really bad. This is bad in my opinion. Has a setters 4, which is really nice. He has a sticky web. Yeah, Weber is singular or double. Weber is double B or single B. I think it's double B. Yeah. So he's gonna rely a lot on the sticky webs, and they come from Vikavolt, so it's kind of reliable. It's not bad. He has the Claydol to support him in keeping the sticky webs up with rapid spin. Sticky webs is gonna be good. I wish this was like Dracozolt instead of Arctozolt, because then this team would have popped off. Right now, it's mediocre. Silver's thoughts. This team's far water grass core is okay, with two parts of it being very bulky and complement each other well, although they have to watch out for fighting type attacks. Okay, so this team's far water grass involves Vaporeon, Incineroar, and Shift Tree. Yeah, Shift Tree no one really cares about. Incineroar, yeah, that's its one big weakness. Even though it's like a Fizz Def, it wants to be a Fizz Def mon. Fighting types that make absolute mice meat out of this. Vape can take a few of those if it's Fizz Def. Shift Tree definitely does not. Yeah, in general as well. Like, it's not that his team is weak against fighting types, because He has stuff like Aegis Slash, stuff like Claydol, Garbodor, Hatterene, Vikavolt. So these can take on fighting types quite well. So I wouldn't say that his team is necessarily weak to fighting types. It's just offensively, I think he would have liked to have a fighting type for himself on this team. Um, so there's that. Okay, where was I? Yeah, the FDS score this team has is fairly slow, but very bulky and offensive, and hatching can provide trick room support if need be. Okay, okay, I can agree with that point. I like the amount of hazards this team can set up, which work great alongside many potential momentum gainers. Okay, so who are the momentum gainers here? There's Incineroar, there's Vaporeon with Baton Pass, there is Arctozolt with Volt Switch if it runs that, there is Vikavolt with Volt Switch, so it's not a lot, but it's whatever, yeah. Um, Okay, so there's that. Set momentum gainers also let this team abuse of its many heavy hitters, which really appreciate the web support provided by Vikavolt. Exactly, this team with webs and without webs are just two completely different beasts. And I think it's going to be relying on webs a lot. However, this is only one of the two teams. This is oh fuck off. Select the whole point. Yeah. However, this is one of the only two teams in the league with a Pokemon with over 100 speed, meaning it can be heavily speed crept. Exactly, allowing its opponents to invest in bulk, making it harder to kill many Pokemon out there. Exactly, I completely agree with this. This team would have appreciated consistent sweeper to abuse of the aforementioned hazards and momentum control this team would have appreciated a consistent sweeper to abuse. I guess that's true. Consistent sweepers. Yeah, that is true though. This team, yeah, the things that I can think of that are like close to sweepers are like autotomize, Aegis Slash, um, what else? Trick Room Hatterene. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of it. So that is that. This team also suffers from a pretty bad fire, fighting, and ground weakness, though it handles its fighting weakness well. Yeah, fighting weakness, I saw it. Let me check out the fire and the ground ones. So Aegis Slash is weak, Gudra takes them, Vape takes them, Incineroar takes them, Claydol, okay, Garbodor and does not, Octo does not, Hatterene takes most hits quite well because of how bulky it is. And you're not going to be running a lot of speed on this most times. Mamo, it's questionable. Vika can get rid of the shift tree, get something decent in its place, and you have your fire answer. Okay, ground, however, yeah, Claydol is there. If you pick up Rotom Frost instead of Arctozolt, you'll have that as well. Vikavolt is there, but yeah, it's kind of shaky against ground. But just please pick up Rotom Frost instead of Arctozolt, and there you have your perfect electric ice type, which covers your team well. It covers the ground weakness, and it's just a much better mon than Arctozolt overall. I'll just say that. Is it taken? Has it already been drafted? That's why he didn't pick it up. No, Rotom Frost is empty. Just pick up Rotom Frost. Ion. If you're watching this, just pick up Rotom Frost. Dude, that thing is going to do a lot of work for you. At least more than Arctozolt will ever. Okay. So there's that. Still, this team has excellent ways to handle speed issues. It has, be it through web support to outspeed its opponents, or trick room to underspeed, making it difficult to prep for. I don't think it's that difficult to prep for, to be honest. It's just not that tough to prep for. What my issues with this team are, my first thing that jumps at me while looking at this team is the immediate power. Aegis Slash Shadow Ball, Mamo EQ, just Mamo stab moves, Hatterene with its stab moves, Vikavolt with stab moves. This is immediate power. I just wish, yeah, the same thing that Silver said earlier. I wish there was a consistent sweeper on this team. Shift tree, I can understand why he got shift tree. It's like a makeshift lower tier thingy, but is that mod allowed this? Is Lilligant? Did Lilligant make it to Alola? Did Lilligant make it to Alola? Lilligant did not make it to Alola. You can try Blossom to be honest. Okay. Blossom might be a bit bad. Dartrix, Dracloak, not really. I'm looking for bulky grass type. Okay, pick up Leafeon. I think Leafeon and Rotom Frost. Yeah, these two mons would serve him really well in my opinion. Leafeon is bulky and is faster, and if his idea was to go for like sun-based sweeps, Leafeon can do that. Leafeon is just a lot more consistent in general than a shift tree. So I think he can go for Leafeon instead of shift tree and Rotom Frost instead of Arctozolt, and that would immensely improve his draft, in my opinion. Okay, so go to Milli's thoughts. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I think someone should make just a compilation of Milli's draft analysis, and then have the other people in the server guess which analysis is for which team. I think that's going to be a fun game. Guess the analysis. Or guess the team from the analysis, I guess. Meh. I can see where the meh reaction is coming from because of the lack of an immediate sweeper. But I don't think it's a meh team. It's one of those teams where you will constantly have to play off of sacks against this team. Like even your best switch-ins are going to take a lot of damage from this team's mons. Another thing worth noticing is that even his walls, the Gudras, the Vaporeons, Incineroars, even Aegislash is a wall. So these guys, they actually have good attacking stat as well. So they can do a lot of damage in turn, which is quite nice on a team like this. Okay, let me just check one thing. Does Hatterene get Wish? Okay, never mind. Vaporeon gets Wish. So that bit is solved. Does Hatterene have recovery options? Recover, it does not have that. Morning Sun, it does not have that. So it does not have recovery options. So um, that is kind of questionable. It can go physical though, which is, I guess, that's a plus, but it is what it is. So there's that. Now I'll move on to Nedivoi's thoughts. FDS is very strong and has a lot of special bulk to boot. FWG is utility and also Shiftry, which is okay. I guess the reason he took Shiftry is because it was also a defogger. But if you get the Rotom Frost instead of the Arctozolt, like I told you, you'll get the defogger back, which you'll lose through the Shiftry. You've got some heavy hitters on both sides, even a couple mixed ones, and your bulk is there in spades. Yep, I agree with this. This team is so very, very slow. Maxing out base 80 and good for team balance, only 2 TR setters in tandem doesn't make up for it. On the other hand, slow momentum is actually really nice and you have multiple abusers. Okay, I can agree with this. Your rock setters are okay and you can drop some spikes with the garbage patch removal is okay, although being reliant on $8 to spin is meh. Does he not have defoggers? Hatterene is practically counts as hazard. It's not hazard removal, it's more like hazard deterrent because of the magic bounce. Yeah, the defog situation is not that good, so that's why I picked up Shiftry, I guess. Okay. He can pick up dart tricks in the lower tier if he wants to. That thing has like decent bulk with what's it called, with Evalite, and it also has defog if I remember correctly. You're not overly weak to rocks, but notably a lot of your pivots is you have a bit of a fighting weakness, but also a lot resists. It's slow, but it's extremely bulky, hard hitting. Yeah, he just repeats himself here. So in terms of my rating for this, offensively, at this moment, I cannot give this more than a 7.5. I'm sorry. If you max out at, in spite of all the immediate damage, if it had like even just one mon, one fast mon that you can at least just run a blind scarf on and put it on the field, I would have given this an 8 on spot. But the fact that it does not have a mon like that, I can't give it more than a 7.5. Defensively, however, I think this team has good synergy, especially with the wish support from the Vaporeon. I'll give this like a 7.5, 8 again. So overall, it's like a 7.7 out of kind of a team for me. So let me see here. Silver gives this 8. Millie gives this 7. So I guess she was out of her period when she wrote this. Ned gives this 7.5. Overall, 7.5. Meh, I can agree with that. Next team is Tampa Bay Lantern, Ascendant, who gets back his Zeraora. Fucking hell. Fuck no. The Ascendant Zeraora. Zeraora is just such an issue to deal with in draft format for me. I mean, I know it's not broken or anything, but I don't know. I just cannot beat Zeraora for the life of me. I have tried to. I don't think I've ever won a matchup against Zeraora. That's the big issue. But anyway, yeah. So Zera is here. Next is Cloyster. Cloyster is really good this gen. Silvally, Decidueye, Ditto, Dougie, Weezing, Hydreigon, Gardevoir, Hitmonchan, fuck off, and Charizard. Okay, so nothing really jumps out to me at first sight except for the fact that he has a freaking Cloyster that can Shell Smash and Sweep, and Zeraora and Hydreigon to beat the bulky waters that actually can take on a Shell Smash Cloyster, because not a lot does. Decidueye can do that beating up part as well. Opposing Scarfers need to be really careful about the Ditto that is there. Silvally is there for the slow parting shots, so it can give momentum to the Nasty Blood Hydreigons and the Shell Smash Cloisters of this team. Gardevoir, token fairy on this team, to be honest. Although, yeah, it can be nice. It can be nice. He needs a fairy if he got one. Hitmonchan, I will never like that mon, so I can't speak too highly of it. Zard with boots can be good. Zard without boots, it's pretty meh. Alolan Dougie, fuck this mon. This mon is bad. It masquerades as a steel type. It's not a good steel type. Um, I think he can afford to go Silvally Steel in most matches and pick up something here instead of the Dougie. That's something he can do. But anyway, yeah. Other than that, let me just go to the speed tiers are nice. Speed tiers are nice on this team. I'll just jump straight into Silver's thoughts. So I'll jump straight into Silver's thoughts. Okay, Millie might not be too happy about that. But anyway, interesting FWG code that lets Decidueye support Charizard and Cloyster with Defog, Tailwind, and potentially scary baton passes. That is true. That is very true, especially for Charizard. If it passes out nasty plot baton passes into Charizard and Charizard gets like a tailwind up, oh, that can be dangerous. Or an SD baton pass into Cloyster, that's equally scary. I agree with that. Decently fast FDS code that actually has many typings. It can handle with just those three Pokemon's coverage moves. Okay, so what is FDS again? Hydreigon handles everything on the face of the earth, especially now that it has Nasty Plot and Hydro Pump. Gardevoir, again, plethora of coverage moves. Dougie. You are pretending to be a steel type. You're not a steel type. You know it. I know it. Even Ascendant probably knows it as well. But yeah, you're just there to make up numbers. Anyway, okay, not only does this team have a very high overall speed, it's also tied with some other teams in having the most hazard removals, which is sweepers really appreciate. And said speed can be abused with many potential momentum gainers. I agree with that. Said speed can be abused with momentum gainers. Zeraora, Silvally, Decidueye, Heidi. Gardevoir gets baton pass now, does it? I don't remember. Charizard does not have a momentum gaining move. So anyway, yeah, yeah. I think this is again a very offensively built team, and he will kind of have to play offensively with this because if I'm looking at just defensive mons that this team can fall back on, all I see is Weezing, Decidueye some matchups, Hitmonchan some matchups, Gardevoir against some specially defensive mons. Hydreigon can be defensive in some matchups, but again, those are like very matchup specific bulky mons. So I guess that's that. Anyway, yeah, going back to Silver's thoughts. The team even handles its own fighting weakness quite well, although it does not share many resistances throughout its team. Overall, this team has a lot of versatility with many Pokemon that can attack on both sides of the attacking spectrum. And although it doesn't have that many downright deadly wall breakers, it can be very difficult to deal with this team as soon as it gets going. Heidi can be a wall breaker, Gardevoir can be a wall breaker, however, that depends on their items and their sets. So, yeah, while it does not have enough, I agree with this, it does not have a lot of immediate power that jumps out at you, but whatever it does have, I think that's sufficient to get its job done, especially since it's going to be relying more on sweeps from the likes of Cloyster. Oh, Hydreigon gets Dragon Dance this generation, that's something to keep an eye out for. That's that. Milli's thoughts very scared. Baton pass. Milli is baton pass, especially with that speed. Okay, I can agree with that. I won't give Millie shit for this. Okay, let me correct her name spelling again. FDS is great until A Duck Trio arrives. Then it's just good. Yeah, that's my thoughts on this as well. The FDW is fine. FWG is fine, which has some versatility attached to it, and Charizard now gets some fancy shoes if it wants to. Okay. Uh, Team is so-so in the power department. Claus needs a shell smash to keep going. There's some special attackers there, and Zeraora is decent. Zeraora is not decent. Zeraora is fantastic, but the massive physical presence in there. The team has a bit of bulk, but you would rely only on a couple to tank more than two hits. Yeah, I guess Silvally would be one of those, and Gardevoir, one of Gardevoir hit my okay, Weezing as well. So I guess that. Um, I was, yeah, here I was. Your overall speed is, oh, shh. No, 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 no. What am I doing? What am I doing? Yeah, your overall speed is quite nice. Ditto is nice here. Good momentum abuse as well. Okay, rocks are pain to set, although Cloyster having spikes helps slightly. Hazard removal is really not good at least. Is really, oh, I'm sorry, is really good at least. Okay, defog, I guess Heidi has defog. Cloyster has rapid spin. Silvally has defog. Decidua has defog. Weezing gets defog this generation. Hitmonchan has rapid spin. Charizard has defog. Bro, it's not good at least, it's fantastic. Uh, okay, not seeing too many shade between this team, just feels a bit short of bulk in some places and a short of physical wall breaker, pace is key, and Silvally is a good gap filler pick. So I think if he could get rid of the Dougie and pick up like a strong wall breaker, but then again he lacks steel type, so that's there. Okay, I was about to say Ferocid, but then I realized that it would make him kind of weak to fighting and fire types, although not like Dougie is helping out in that department. I would suggest Ferocid in there if Ferocid is not taken. That is, let me see, is Ferocid taken? No, it's not. Ferocid is not taken. He can have a look at Ferocid in my opinion. Um, Other than that, I cannot really see a lot that jumps out to me at first sight that I can suggest to him here. Other steel types here are Stunted G, Sunfish, no, there isn't a lot here to look at, to be honest. Okay, so let me just go back there. Uh, if I had to rate this team, I would give the offense. This is a tough one because you see, while there's not an immediate wall breaker in sight, stuff like Hydreigon and Gardevoir and Zeraora, they can be wall breakers in their own right depending on matchups. Even Silvally normal because of how hard multi-attack hits right now with the choice band. So I'll give this like a 8.5, I guess, close to 9. If it had a proper wall breaker, I'd have definitely give this 9, 9.5. This is close to an 8.5, 9 team in terms of offense for me. Defensively, it's 7.5 ish, 7.5. So overall, it's like an 8, 8.1 thing for me. So Silver rates this quite highly, 8.75. Okay. Milli raised this 7.5. Okay, I can agree with that. Ned, however, raises really low. I don't know. What happened here? Did he snipe you? No, he could not have sniped you. You were in the other division. So I don't know what happened here, but that's that for my analysis. And now the guy that I had faced week one, so I actually have a bit more insight on this team than I have on more teams, on most teams. So okay, yeah. Anyway, so the team itself is Galarian Damaritan, Haxorus, Cobalion, Eldegoss, Mantine, Wobbuffet, Cofagrigus, Clefable, Bombi, Scrafty, and Sandyscorch. So it has two excellent setup sweepers in Haxorus and Ribombi. Ribombi gets webs up, which is really good for Darmanitan. It also, okay, I forgot Clefable in setup sweepers. Scrafty really depends on matchup to setup sweep. Scotch, I do not really know a lot about that mod to be able to comment. Cofagrigus can get up T spikes, which can be good for both the offensive mons in the Dominating Galarian and Haxorus and the defensive mons like Cobalion and Eldegoss and Mantine and Clefable because they can stall out their opponents. Wobbuffet is good on this team because it can get rid of opposing Scarfers, which can clean up the door for DD Haxorus and Scarf Darmanitan to sweep because they often get outsped by a lot of Scarfers. So that's really good. However, this team has issues, which at first I'll look through their analysis to see if any of them points out these issues. These issues I realized only when I was building for this team, and that's when I saw these problems. So let me just go through the analysis first before I get into my own. Okay, so speed tiers. There's not much to see there. This team's FWG is very bulky, with Eldegoss and Mantine being a nice core and handle each other. Centiscorch appreciates the hazard removal both provide. It can typically run boots. It did run boots against me as well. It has good special defense, so there's that. This team's FDS core is both bulky and deadly, with Cobalion providing hazards and momentum to let in the other two wreak havoc, be it with Dragon Dance, Haxorus, or Clefable. Okay, there's a certain issue here, but I'll get to that a bit later. With the momentum gainers this team has, it can easily move its wall breakers and sweepers where they need to be to do their job, with Galarian Dominatum in particular being very difficult to handle, of course. It's a fucking Galarian Dominatum. What do you expect of this thing? This thing is an absolute nightmare to deal with. Yeah. with the momentum gainers this team has, it can easily move as wall breakers and sweepers. Yeah, I agree with that. It has stuff like Volt Switch Cobalion. Eldegos can just pivot in and out because of the regen. Mantine as well, I guess. Wobu can just straight up remove Scarfers from the game. Bombi with U-turn, it doesn't have that many as I thought at first in terms of momentum gainers. Four, two U-turners, one of which is also a baton passer, one volt switcher, one baton passer. Volt switcher is Cobalion, two U-turners. Okay, who are the two U? Okay. Galarian Dominant itself is a U-turner. Okay, so that makes sense. This and Ribombi, and one of them is a baton passer. I would guess that would be the Ribombi, and one pure baton passer. Who is that? Who is that? Scrafty? Sandy Scotch? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Write it down in the comment below. Okay. Yeah. With the momentum, yeah, okay, yeah, I read that. However, this team is weak to three different types it can't reliably handle, making it weaker than normal to stealth rocks, and with flying in particular being very exactly. And this I exploited the fuck out of in my match. With flying in particular being very difficult to switch in. Oh fuck off! These notifications just keep coming at me. Where is it? Well, to switch into to not having a single resistance to it, thus this team would have appreciated electric type Pokemon. Exactly. And and flying is not the only type that electric typing would have helped it with. It also would have helped it with opposing electric types as well. Because from what I realized while building against him is that even though he has stuff like the Haxorus and the Eldegoss is like the only mon that switches into electric moves from this. It does not have a ground type as well, which is a big issue, and that's something that I took full advantage of as well. Overall, however, this team has many threatening sweepers and supporters that can easily let said sweepers wreak havoc. Milli's thought, bulky, me likey, but no electric mon, a tad weaker to stealth rocks, making hard for your flying types to come in. Bulky, me likey, Milli seriously. This team was bulky right here. There's Jirachi, Jellicent, Rotom, Heat, Quagsire, Vileplume, Mandibuzz, and Quillfish. And you did not think this team was bulky? You thought this was bulkier than that? How? How, Millie? How do you think this team is bulkier than that one? I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Stealth Rock's weakness, Mantine, Clefable, and Sandyscotch. Mantine, no, not Clefable. Ribombi, Sandyscotch, I guess. But okay, Darmanitan and Galarian as well. But yeah, it's whatever. Galarian Darmanitan can just come in one time in the match and clean up with Icicle Crash or any of its other moves if it wants to. So there's that. Has it removals though? How many did this team have? Eldegos knows Rapid Spin as far as I remember. Mantine has Defog. Ribombi has Defog, so that's three. Okay. Nedleo's thoughts. Your FDS is quite powerful and has some utility. The Firewater Grass is fairly bulky, although it has a crippling rocks weakness within it. HD boost notwithstanding. Okay, Firewater Grass is his Mantine, his what's the other one? His Eldegos and his Sandyscotch. Okay, FDS is quite powerful. His FDS was Haxorus, Cobalion, and Clefable and Bombi. Okay. Damnite and Galarian and Haxorus are terrifying, although you lack a good special, a real special breaker. Life Orb Clefable can be a bit tough to switch into, especially with all its coverage moves. Specs Ribombi can put in some work in certain matches as well, but okay. Your team does have pace with Ribombi and some nice momentum to boot. How do you mention Ribombi and not mention Sticky Wells? Because that just puts Dam and Haxorus on a whole different level of scale. Cobalion and Clef are great rockers and even a spinner with Eldegos. Okay, I agree with this. On the flip side, you do have a notable rocks weakness and only one fairy resist. Exactly. This is the big one. This is the big one. His only fairy resist was Scorch. And so what I did was, and this is why I built my team the way I did with my fairy type mon being built to sweep through his team because yeah, his fairy weakness is not good. So yeah, what I like about these analysis is that they bring out the two biggest weaknesses with this team, being the ones to fairy and flying. Electric is not really well dealt with either, to be honest. I think this team could do with a ground type. First things first. A ground steel would be a nice one because that would deal with the flying weakness as well. Because his only steel type right now, Cobalion, deals with neither flying types nor fairy types. So I think another steel type there would be beneficial. Scotch is alright on this team. Lefebvre, Crafty and Wobbuffet. Uh, he could look at different mons instead of Wobbuffet and Scrafty, is what I'll say. Although it's really up to him, but I think he should get a ground type in there as early as possible, and probably what was I about to say? A poison type could be nice as well because I'm looking at his team, and yeah, a ground type and a poison type would really help him out, especially with the former with the electric weakness, the latter with the fucking hell, I keep forgetting words. With the fairy weakness. A secondary steel would also help out in that regard because it deals with both. Is Togedemaru available? If it is, you can try a Togedemaru. You can try fitting in Togedemaru onto this because that will help you out a lot. And it's also a semi-reliable Scarfer because it can flinch through more things than you'd like it to flinch through with the Zing Zap and the Iron Head. So that's a mon that you can potentially look at. That's off the top of my head, but anyway, yeah, decent poison type. Maybe try taking off the what's it called, the Quillfish from Yuke's hands. That might help you. Uh, and what else is there? Yeah, the magnets are not in this game. Grounded. In terms of ground types, okay, let me see what. Instead of Cofagrigus, you could have taken Runerigus in my opinion because they are basically the same mons, except that that one is physically offensive, this one is specially offensive. But that thing is a ground type which your team actually needs, in my opinion. So Runerigus could have been better instead of Cofagrigus. And poison type, a steel type would be appreciated on this team. So yeah, it's really up to him to change up. If I had to change up, I would probably change up the Wobu and the Scrafty, or even the Scotch. Any one of those three. Others, I think I'm fine with on this team. Okay, so the number two team in this division. So this is the second best team in this division, and that is KZ's Portland Soul Blazers. So what does this guy have? He has Ferrothorn, Barracuda. Okay, can you read this? Can you guys read this? I guess not the entirety of it, so I'm just gonna push this up a little. Hopefully, you'll be able to read this now. Let me see. Let me check. Yeah, you can read this now. Okay, so Ferrothorn, Barracuda, Pelipper, Seismito, Raichu, Alola, Typner, Raboot, Como, Corsola, Galarian, Liepard, Sarfetch'd. If you are not blind, or even if you're blind, if you are both, unless you're both blind and deaf, you already know what kind of a team this is. This is a true blue team with Barracuda, Seismitoad, Ferrothorn, all just there to abuse rain. And then I like the fact that his only fire type is a mon that doesn't necessarily rely on fire type moves. So Raboot can, because of its protean libero, which is basically protean, it can get out. Okay, okay, okay. I did not give this a rating. Okay, I'm sorry. I did not give this team a rating. So if I had to rate this, we rate his team. Piranha's team. So Piranha's team would get like because of how good Darmanitan and Haxorus, Clefable's, Bombi, this combination is. Just based off of that, I would give it like an 8.5 in terms of offense, even a 9. Yeah, Darmanitan plus Haxorus is terrifying to deal with just on their own. Because if you have like one physical defensive wall, Darmanitan and Haxorus, one of them can act as a wall breaker, get rid of that wall, and then the other guy can sweep. So it's close to a 9 for me. Defensively, it's like a 6.5. I can't give it more than that because of the things that it's missing. So overall, it's like a 7.5, 8-ish team for me. Uh, so Silver gives us an 8.5, Milli gives us a 6.5, Net gives us an 8.25. Overall is 7.75. Okay, so there was a tie here, and now I'm going to go up to the team that it tied with, KZ. So I already read out his team. So what I feel about his team is that defensively, Ferrothorn plus Galarian Corsola plus Pelipper, this is a good combination to start off with. However, does he have a dark type? Yes, he does have a dark type, but that dark type happens to be Liepard. And this team is kind of not that good against Ghost, although Como is practically immune to Shadow Ball because of Bulletproof. Um, that is something worth keeping in mind. Surfetched is there. That's a good wall breaker to help the Barracudas and the Seismitodes and the Alolan Raichus of this team. Sweep. Como can sweep on its own with Clangorous Soul and DD. So there's that. Lipart can act as a secondary rain setter with this, but I do not really see the hype behind this team for it to be second overall. I would argue that I felt Shibi's team was better than this. I felt Chris's team was better than this. So I do not really, because the thing with weather teams is that they are so easily exploitable. You and with a team like this, you are kind of forcing yourself to run stall more, not stall, to run rain more often than not. So how what mods can you run without rain? You can run like Ferrothorn, Seismitoad, uh, Type Null, Raboot, Como, Corsola G, something like that. So yeah, at that point, it's not the best team. So if your team consistently relies on a gimmick, I don't think it's like yeah, when that gimmick is like, I mean, I can't even say Rain is a gimmick. It's more like a play style. So when Rain is up, this team is fantastic. When Rain is not up, this team has issues. So that's that, I guess. So let's go on to the analysis. So, Silver's thoughts. The Firewater Grass core this team has is especially nice, especially due to the fact that its fire type does not really care about lane, thanks to Rebro, giving it so many different coverage moves, meaning that Ferrothorn and the plethora of rain abusers can be under rain reliably without really hindering the team. Absolutely, I agree with this. Due to lacking a fairy type for a oh, you don't even have a fairy type. Yeah, I did not notice this. How are you second, my dear? How is this team second? Due to lacking a fairy type for a fairy type and steel core, this team is forced to rely heavily on Ferrothorn to take set hits, which can get fairly predictable, meaning that Ferrothorn might get moveset countered more often than you'd like. Of course, there's other walls on the team that can take said hits, but oftentimes not as reliably as Ferrothorn. I agree. I agree. Uh, Honestly, this team doesn't really have many other gimmicks it can reliably run outside of rain setups with a couple of Pokemon that don't really use rain alongside set compositions such as Combo and Wall Breaking Surface. Exactly, then how the fuck is this team second? Overall, this team might be a bit predictable, so it needs to try and utilize Pokemon in unique spots. Okay, Silver doesn't seem too high on this team. How the hell did this end up second? What am I missing here? It definitely needs a fairy type. I don't know how I missed out on that as well. Um, what fairy types are available though? Because if I'm looking at his points, he does not have a lot left. So it has to be like a lower tier fairy, or he has to remove one of his higher tier mons. I look at his higher tier mons and I agree with them for the most part. I don't know. Type null, I guess, or maybe like one of Liepard or Starfetched. I don't know. Didn't Grimsnarl go undrafted in our division? So that might be something he would want to look at. Um, that would give him a reliable dark type, reliable ghost switch in, as well as a fairy in the same slot, and then but he has to get rid of one of his two tier twos for that, either Barraskewda or Corsola. Or if he's a real man, he can just pick up Morgren in the tier 4, tier 5 slot. So he can have some fun with that. I think, yeah, Morgren do Rain Dance? If it does, then I would actually suggest him Morgren over this. Although Morgren is not the best fairy, I would admit, but it could be nice, I guess. No, never mind, never mind. It has terrible bulk. I thought it would have more bulk than this. It's terrible, and it doesn't even have Rain Dance, so fuck off. So I guess picking up Grimmsnarl over Galarian Corsola or Barraskewda, and then replacing Lipard with something from the lower tiers, something like what is there in the lower tiers? Let me see. Let me have a look. I don't remember. So the lower tiers they have the Beartic has Swift Swim, which is something that he could try. Does not foresee Glaceon, Grappler on top. Kingler could be nice. Oh, Kingler under rain looks scary. That looks scary. Lantern could be nice as well. It would give him another electric type. It can be a Volt Absorber. Machoke, Manectric, Maractus, Wishy Washy, Whiscash, Wailord, not these. Torcat, no. Throw, Chef Tree, You could run Shedinja on this team because most teams that prep for this are not really going to have coverage for Shedinja, I feel like. So that is something that you can get cheeky with and try out. Other than that, but yeah, it's not really the most ideal option, I would agree. Um, Yeah, I think a ghost type from this lower tier, something like Dracloak, I guess. Couldn't be too bad either. Sliggoo is undrafted. You could have a look at Sliggoo here. So there are options that you can pick up instead of Lipard and then free up your tier 2 slot for. I think yeah, I think Sliggoo would be nice here. So pick up the Sliggoo. Evaluate Sliggoo is very bulky, and then drop the Galarian Corsola, yeah, I was saying Corsola and Galeria for some reason, yeah. Galarian Corsola and pick up Grinsnarl there, and I think that should. Grinsnarl went undrafted in our division now, didn't it? Yeah, Grinsnarl went undrafted, so that should help you out, out there, I guess. But let's see what do the other analysts have to say. How did it end up this high? Milli's thoughts. Libero makes Raboot not give a fuck about rain. I agree. Having the rest come without being a hindrance. Okay. Please don't break Ferrothorn's back by having it carry the entire team without a fairy. I agree with this. So why the fuck is it second? Ned's thoughts. FWG is neat. I complained about the three water types in an earlier PR, but this team is a rain team. Yeah, okay. Raboot also synergizes quite well. I agree. FD score lacks a fairy, good complements with each other, but it lacks a fairy though, and that is big. How does this team deal with fighting types in general? Ferrothorn is weak, Barraskewda is weak to everything. Pelly deals with them well. Seismitoad, you wouldn't want to switch it in if you were going to use it as an offensive mon. Raichu Alula kind of deals with them but doesn't like the knockoffs. Type Null does not like them. Raboot does not like them. Como depends on who is using those attacks. Corsola Galarian, okay, that's a reliable switch in, but yeah, that's like one. He definitely needs a fairy here. But then again, I was suggesting Grimmsnarl. Can Grimmsnarl even take on the? Can Grimmsnarl even take on fighting types? To be honest, it's yeah, that's a good question because it has the shared dark typing as well. What other fairy is unavailable? Is available? Something has to be right. Okay, Sylveon is available. That's something you could have a look at. Gyarados is available. Oh, Gyarados under rain would have been nasty. Mm, what else? What else? What else? Copper Rocket, Ramadan, Dougie, Stu, FedEx, la 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 la. Grimmsnarl, Lucario, Mimikyu. Yeah, you could have tried. Yeah, exactly. Drop the Galarian Corsola, get a Mimikyu, and then get like a defensive ghost type, or even better, something like a Sliggoo from the lower tiers. That could help it out. But yeah, exactly. So why did this end up at number two again? Neddy Boy has some explaining here to do. Okay. FD score lacks a fair rain team with power quite substantially outside of rain, which is middling for the most part. Surface is the exception. Okay, there is some quite nice bulk in there. I see. Yeah, he does have just one wall breaker outside of rain, which is surface. That is very true. Speed in the rain is massive. Outside the rain still okay, but noticeably fall off. Momentum is quite good. I would say it's a noticeable fall off because guys like Barraskewda and Raichu Alula are still quite fast, and Como can set up DD and sweep. So I would say it's a noticeable fall off. It's like a slight fall off. So uh, okay. Hazard setting is strong. Removal is okay. Rock weakness is quite mild. Rock weakness is there on Pelipper. What else? I don't see anything else weak to rock. So that's not mild. That's actually quite good. That's actually quite good. Okay, Raboot is there, I guess, but okay. Hazard setters, Ferrothorn, Size Me, Alolan Raichu. Yeah, this team is good. Okay, so looking at the score, 8.25 from. Okay, okay, okay. Hazard setting is strong, can't lie, although watch knockoff. When rain is up, this team is nearly has it all. Without even rain, it's decent. But again, it needs rain so desperately. So offensively, opposing grass types look like a bit of an issue to me because other than Pelipper, I don't really see how you break them down. Maybe Como, but then fairy types are there for Como. So it usually gets dealt to it, and it did get spoilers. It did get dealt to it in week one. So I'm gonna give this like a 7.5, 8-ish score offensively, defensively as well, around six. No, not that bad. It's not that bad. It's like a seven. So overall, it's like a 7.2, 7.3 team to me. So who overhyped this team? Silver gave this an 8.25, kind of high in my opinion. Milli gave it 6.5, which is a bit low in my opinion. Okay. Ned gave this 8.5. Why though, Ned? Ned, why? Why do you like this so much? I don't know. Frankly, I feel like so far of the teams that I've seen, I like Chris's team a lot. I like Shibi's team a lot. I like this team. I like Yuke's team a lot as well. I have liked Ascendant's team a bit as well. And now the number one team in the division. So let's see what made this team number one. So this has Kuram, Bishop, Galvantula. Oh, I can see where the number one has come from. Whimsicott, Hitmonlee, Togetic, Rhydon, Necrozma, Chandelier, Arctovish, Throw. This is just your stereotypical webs offense. You get the webs up with Galvantula, and then this team just goes off with webs up. This team goes off. Throw, instead of throw, could you have not picked up the other one, Sock? I think Sock would have been better on this team. You could have even picked. Okay, he probably didn't have the points, but why do you keep? Why do you guys? Why are you guys so bent on picking up these Arcto fossils? Arctovish is not good. Arctozolt is not good. Why do you pick them up? Pick up some other water type. I don't know. Arctovish is not the greatest. Like pick up something like Lantern. I guess Lantern is still free. Pick up like Kingler, I guess, something like that, and then free up this slot and get a Sock in there. But anyway, yeah. Other than that, offensively, Kurum is fantastic, especially with Dragon Dance now. Stuff that Kurum is topped by are typically the bulky fairies, bulky waters. What does he have for bulky fairies? Chandler, I guess, kind of takes care of them. Bishop goes ham, but Bishop can't really switch in onto them, so that's an issue. Fire types. Okay, he does have Chandler. Okay, I said that. Bulky waters. He has the Galvantula. He has the Whimsicott. Okay, they kind of dealt with. Hitmonlee is again dangerous with webs up. However, I feel like Pessimian is better because of the defined. So it's kind of like a fighting type Bishop at that point without the what's it called, fighting type bishop without the what's it called, what was I going to say again, without the, yeah, the priority, I guess. Doesn't have sucker punch. Yeah, that's that. So his fey types are Whimsicott, Togetic, nice. His steel is Bishop, nice. His dragon is no, not non-existent. His Kyurem, so it's fucking great. It's quite good. There's that Rhydon. Okay, kind of fits in. There's a bulky ground. What is this team missing? I feel like it's missing something, though I can't point my finger out. Necrozma is fantastic on this team because of the number of fighting weaknesses that there are. Kyurem, Bishop, Rhydon, Hitmonlee doesn't take them well either. I think Necrozma is absolutely key for this team. So there's that. So let me just move on to the analysis, because in terms of speed tiers, this team has it all. 116 to 40, that's a good range. It has healthy mid-tier speeds as well with webs. That's going to be really key. So Silver's thoughts. This team's far water grass is pretty interesting, with Whimsicott providing some nice support. Particularly Tailwind being able to isolate Arctovish. No. Arctovish doesn't slam anything, bro. The reason Dracovish hits that hard is because of strong jaw. This does not have strong jaw, so already it loses 33% of the power that Dracovish had. Yeah, and its defensive typing isn't that good as well. So, yeah, Chandelier is great with with webs up, but again, this depends a lot on webs. So I think stuff like Braviary, stuff. Although yeah, he doesn't have the points for Braviary, I can see that. Stuff like I think Passimian would have gone off on this draft, but yeah. Anyway, so let me just see what else he has. What else is competitive these days? Okay. I Gothitelle has competitive, I remember. There's one more that had competitive. Oh, that was Wigglytuff. Never mind. So anyway, I'll just go back to his analysis. The team's FDS is pretty nice. Whimsicott providing support. To Kyurem and Bishop, Memento. Ooh, that is very nice for both of these. That's good. This team can abuse sticky waves pretty well, I agree. With plenty of Pokemon abusing the speed control it provides, Chandelier being able to block and Bishop being able to deter Defog with Defiant, which deters opposing webs, which I think what's it called? Passimian will do to an even greater extent. I think that would be even better, yeah. Agree with this. Though this team can handle two of its common weaknesses in rock and fighting quite well, it doesn't do as well against steel type attacks, so it needs to be wary of that. Is that so? Um, Togetic, do you really need the Togetic here? I feel like probably he, yes and no, I guess, to this. I'm kind of split on the Togetic pick here. But yeah, speaking of steel types, Rhydon and Togetic can actually take them quite well because of the bug that the Evalite grants them. Chandelier can take it on, as ice type isn't exactly weak to them either.
So I think he is too bad off against the steel types. So there's that. In general, however, this team is a very threatening one that can easily attain chances to sweep with as many sweepers and support Pokemon. So one thing I really like about this team is that not only does it have sweepers, but those sweepers can function defensively as well. Like Kyurem has DD, but Pressure Stall Kyurem is absolutely nasty for certain matchups, especially if they lose their fighting type or their steel type, their fairy type early on. Same with something like Necrozma. Defensive Necrozma can support entire teams really, really well. Whimsicott defensively is always annoying because of Leech Seed, Praxil Leech Seed shenanigans. Togetic can be very bulky, so can be Rhydon. I really like the fact that this thing has offense, this has immediate power with the likes of Kyurem, this has setup potential with like Kyurem and Hitmonlee, this has setup potential with the said Kyurem, Bishop, Necrozma. Okay, Chandelier also goes in the immediate power department, so this is both of those. And Throw, I'm not too keen on that one, but Guts Throw can be really devastating. Okay, Milli's thoughts. Unique core. Octovish coming in with that pimp hand slapping them hoes. No, 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 no. Octovish is not slap anything. Just watch out for those steel guns. Again, I'm not really sure if he needs to be that worried about steals, to be honest. If there's one thing that he needs to be worried, however, it's, I think, electric types, to be honest. Because his only electric resist is only electric immunity. Sorry, not resist. Cure him resist as well. Immunity is Rhydon. So for a team that would want to have webs up as for as much long as possible, for the team that wants to be playing with webs up for as long as possible, I don't think Rhydon is going to come to too many matchups. So electric types can be a bit of an issue for this team. Other than that, fighting types are an issue, but are not an issue at the same time because I can see them being getting dealt with. Opposing dragons pose a bit of an interesting question because then you have to rely on your Whimsicott and your Togetic to beat them because they usually have coverage to beat Bishop, especially now with close combat being made as common as it is, or even stuff like Fire Blast on Goodra and stuff. So there's that. Okay, so let me go to Ned's analysis now. FWG is okay, after which is a lot of weaknesses for a water type, however. Okay, okay. FDS is really nice in the power department. FDS is really nice in the power department. Hell yeah, I agree with that. Although not really, the fairies aren't that strong, but yeah, they can be used, especially Specs, what's it called? Specs Whimsicott is really good. Strong in the power department, although a fair chunk of your bulk can be derived from the Violite, so knockoff can be an issue. Okay. Enough speed to get by, Unburden Hitmonlee adds extra. A couple momentum users which are slow, I might add. Okay, yeah, he does mention the slow to getting baton pass. Okay. Uh, what else is momentum generator? Whimsicott. Okay. No, not Chandelier. What am I saying? Necrozma. Does it get baton pass? I don't remember. Uh, but yeah, that's that. Uh, a painful rock weakness and a lot of fighting weaknesses as well, and a lot of resist. Rock's weakness, is that so? Let me see. So, Kyurem is weak to rocks, Galvantula is, Togetic is, Chandelier is, Arctovish is. Okay, okay, I can see the argument for there being a rocks weakness here overall. That's fine. This team feels like it's some synergy, although after his ice type hurts the ability to function as a bulky water in the core. I agree. Throw and Hitmonlee are pure fighting types, so you'll struggle to use both, but they do fulfill different roles in the teams. I agree. One of them can be like so Throw can be like the wall breaker of the two. So it can be like bulky with knockoff and stuff to weaken the psychic types, to weaken the ghost types, and then Hitmonlee can come in and clean up. But yeah, as I said, Persimmon would have been better on this team, in my opinion, especially with the webs up. But it is his team. Yeah, it is his choice after all. So he chose to go with what he did in the end. Um, yeah, so looking at scores, okay, so my score offensively, yeah, Curum, Bishop, Necro, yeah, I'm going to give this close to 8.5, 9 again here. There hasn't been any mad offensive teams that jumped out at me other than probably Chris's team. I like Chris's team's offense a lot. So there's that. But other than that, I think this is close to a 9 though. Because the dual fighting type actually fulfill different roles, which is a very good point made by Ned. I did not really think about it at first, so I think I can give this a 9. Defensively too, I'll give this close to an 8. Yeah, I think it's like an eight, somewhere between eight, 8.5, because of the way that I would have given it close to a nine even if the Octovish was a proper water type instead of being a fucking Octovish. But yeah, overall it's like an 8.5, 8.67-ish team for me. Let's see what they have given. So Silver gave it 9 out of 10. Okay, okay. Millie gave it 8 out of 10. So finally, a team that Millie actually liked. My God. My God. Python is blessed. Jack is absolutely blessed. The fact that Millie liked his team. Ned Leo 7.25. Oh, that little. Ah, I guess he really didn't like the fighting types too much, or the Octovish. Yeah, he complained about Octovish a lot. Knockoff weakness is there, is kind of not there because of Necrozma having the Prism armor and him having two fairies. So I kind of disagree with that point, but overall, yeah, 8.8, 8.08. So, so there's that. Now, if you ask me at the end of these analysis what I feel are the best, now if I have to rank them, okay, that's a painful thing. Okay, so this is gonna be tough ranking them. Mm, so best team in my opinion would probably be the Richmond Raikus. I'll just put them here in the week one slot and then I'll clear out the slot. So at number two I will put it's between Python and Shibi. Shibi's ground weakness, though. Shibi's ground weakness is a bit annoying. Not gonna lie. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna go with Python. I think on this one, just because of the fact that his offensive mons themselves are so bulky, and they can utilize different roles in the team. Number three is going to be Shibi, then, yeah, no doubt for me. Number four is going to be Ascendant, in my opinion. Really like the team, so it just kind of stays where it is in the analysis as well. Number five for me is going to be Yuke because this I think is the closest to a stall team that we have in this match in this division. I saw you play. He's a good player, so I think even though I ranked him fifth, he can go even up to as high as a second or a first spot, in my opinion. Okay, so up next, number six. So what teams do I have left? I have this guy, I have this guy, I have this guy, I have me myself, and Ion, my man. You had such good mons. If only if you had some decent speed to go along with it as well. So Ion is definitely not six. Now looking at Walgreens, Piranha, this team is nice. If it had a ground type, it would have been much better. If it had some fairy races, it would have been even better. If it had a flying type, it would have been far better. So it's okay. It is there. Yeah, this team, the Hanoi Chargebugs, this is quite nice. So this might be a contender. Just get a better steel type than Kling Clang, please. So this might be a contender for a higher rank. My team, okay, it's not exactly bad, but sixth best, is it now? Oh, then there's the Rain team as well, which, okay, Rain versus this, though. It's a Rain team that kind of covers itself nicely for a large part, but then it also leaves itself open to a lot of weaknesses. So, if anything, I'm actually going to put Viet here. Yeah. So, Viet comes to this spot for me. Mm, Now then, what do I prefer? So, in terms of immediate power, my team and Ion's team are ahead. Uh, KZ relies too much on Rain. His team has big flaws in his defensive getup, which is crucial because he has a bunch of bulky mons to play off of. So that can be an issue for him. However, with all things considered, I think okay, this part is tough. Um, so now I have to get into a nitty gritty. Now between me and Ion, I actually have mons that are faster than that have decent speed to take advantage of my wall breakers. But at the same time, the situation with hazards on my team is pitiful. On the other hand, he has like four hazard setters and two hazard removers, so he is ahead on that regard. Mm. Now, if I come, so I would put Ion's team like slightly above mine, not a lot, slightly above mine. So if I'm going to compare the other teams with our team, these two, On paper, yeah, Piranha's team is definitely better than mine. I felt that during prepping as well. It's just that it had some very obvious holes in it, which I was able to exploit. KZ though, my man, it's just rain. It's just bland fucking rain. So if I have to pick one out of this four, I'll probably pick Piranha's team next. So that goes here. Um, After that, so between me, Ion, and KZ. So what's better? KZ's Rain or Ion's Trick Roomy, whatever he tried to make there? I would say Ion's team has more variety to it. So that's something. And its weaknesses are not as exploitable as KZ's are. So I'm gonna put Ion ahead at number 8. So this leaves the bottom two slots to me and KZ. So my team is kind of lopsided because there's no proper defensive mons, which he does have, to be honest. At least he had a plan, and even though I don't think he executed that plan very well, like he did not really get an alternative for this plan because it's the kind of plan that gets countered very easily. He at least had a plan. Did I have a plan though? My only plan was get Dracovish, then get some other hard hitters, and then just take it out from there. So uh, Dracovic plus Gothitelle I took round 1, so I guess I thought that would be convenient to remove water immunities with Gothitelle, but as it turns out, it's a lot harder in practice than it said. So I between me and KZ, he does have ready-made sweepers though, like stuff like Como. Yeah, that I can't deny. That Como, I think it kind of puts his team above mine, to be honest. But again, it's just like these last three teams, these are like neck and neck with each other, if you ask me. So yeah, so if you ask my opinions on what the best teams are, this is what it would look like. So I would put Chris at number 1, who got put at number 9, and then I'll put KZ at number 9, who got put at number 2. So obviously my opinions differ a lot with the PR team, but anyway. So I'd have put him at first, Python second, Shibi for third, Ascendant fourth, Yuke at 5, Viet at 6, Piranha at 7. In spite of him having two absolutely broken mons in Daman and Haxorus, the holes are too obvious. Piranha at 7, Ion at 8, 9 is KZ, and 10 is me, myself. So, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, comment on what you felt like my team was like, and yeah, maybe I'll see you sometime soon. I don't know when my next video is going to come out. I'm probably going to cover Conquest Division. Probably. That's a big probably. But yeah, wait a second. Y'all put Pat at first? What? Y'all fucking put. Do you guys see this? They put Pat at number 1. Seriously. No, you know what? You guys should. You guys fucking suck. You guys don't deserve a vid. You guys deserve nothing in this world. Fuck off. No vids for Conquest. Conquest Division. Yeah, that's it. Decision made. Ranger Division is better, and Ranger Division is the only one that's getting a vid.